I can't hear your audio.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Let's see. Who do we have? Open the chat. Hey, Nick. Haven't seen you in a while. I wasn't expecting to see you. I like seeing you there.
Good to see you. Yeah, I just got back from vacation, so I'll be playing catch up tonight. But
That's fine.
okay,
I'm glad you're here.
thanks.
Hopefully you had a great vacation.
Yeah, it was nice. I went to Canada. I'd never been there before.
Oh, Canada.
It was pretty.
And did you get to see? I mean, this is the perfect time for fall colors. Did you see?
Yeah.
Were you out?
Yeah, I saw some. I was in Vancouver area, so
Oh,
that was pretty.
gorgeous.
Really cool waterways there too. Should
I
get a
know.
lot of great
Gone-
photography there.
We've been there for the summers kayaking and hiking, and oh, that's all so pretty. Did you get to
Yeah.
go to Vancouver Island?
I did. Yeah, yeah. My friend's mom lives there, so we stayed with her, which was really beautiful
Yeah.
in Victoria. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm. Good
So
for you.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad to see you. I
good to
wasn't
see you
expecting-
too.
Mhm. All right. So I've been running around all day, so I just sat down. So I'm moving things around, but I'm glad you can hear me. Remember that just like a bit earlier when I started, you couldn't hear me. You just said I can't hear you, and I fixed it. So about 2 or 3 times per class, the microphone will die, and I'll have to go switch it. So just if I keep and you can't hear me, just tell me I can't hear me, and I'll go and fix it. So here we go. Let's move you guys over
Good
here.
evening, everybody. Deanna, I just wanted to let you know, I- I'll probably have to leave class early today.
Okay.
Yeah, I did do catch up on the last class, and so I'm all caught up.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't
yeah,
know if
it's
you knew how to get. I noticed that the class ended, and I hadn't shown you where to get the class recordings and stuff like that.
I did access it.
You figured it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw the video you sent, and I did
Okay, great.
access it. Um, I was also kind of wondering to the other people on here, um, do, is maybe it's on my end. Is Deanna a little bit quiet for you all, or is it just me?
Is Deanna what?
Or are you to me you're a little bit quiet, but I can just boot you up,
Yeah.
make you
Let
more.
me move your microphone up higher. I had a scarf earlier today, and then I could put it right on. They set this microphone up for me
Okay.
when I was wearing a turtleneck. And so now that I have a more open shirt, it's just a couple of inches further, and I don't have anything to hold it, but I did have a scarf earlier today. Maybe I can put it on again and have it nearer.
I
But
think we
other
can.
than that, if you get to the point where you can't hear me much, then at some point I can control your guys' sound, but I can't control my sound. That gets controlled from some weird control room. Tech people come here and fix it. So as long as I don't get too hot. I don't get too hot. Then there, that's a bit closer. Maybe better now?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
if I
I
get too
appreciate
hot and I have to take it off,
that. No
then I
worries.
don't know, you'll have to crank it up for you or something.
That's
We'll
all right.
see. But
Thank you. I
okay.
appreciate it.
It's interesting because in this lab, we're normally freezing, like freezing. In the middle of summer, we're bringing jackets in today. For some reason, it's not. And I'm actually a bit warm. Actually, let me go work over to see if I can do something. Give me a second. But it's a very finicky system. And the moment you touch it, you either freeze or you boil. But this is my last class from here because I just finished my last in-person class that I'm teaching right after. And as of next Wednesday, or Monday, never mind. Yeah, Wednesday, as of Wednesday, see, I'm trying to think today's one. As of Wednesday, I'll be teaching from my home. And for better or for worse, the class that comes before you guys, this time I've had 45 minutes in between, but the class on Wednesday that I start teaching before you guys finishes only 10 minutes before I start this one. And I'll be starting to teach at 1. So I'm going to be like, ah. So if you ever see me opening the class a couple minutes late, I'm still probably running back from the kitchen or the bathroom or something. I'll do my best, but it's going to be quite the marathon. But anyway, so this is my last class from this classroom for a bit. So welcome to class. Hi, Paula. And I think I already said hi to everyone else. And I don't know, everyone, hopefully the other people will show up as class goes on. I'm going to move you guys over to this side. And I will share my screen. You guys have been hard at work. I saw how you have been putting things in the class Padlet. So let me share the class Padlet. And we're off and running. Here we go. All right. So this is the Padlet. I'm going to put the link out here. Oh, that's not where I grabbed the link. I grabbed the link from here. I'll put in the chat, and I'm noticing that in the chat, we just have 2 people signing in. So let's all go to the chat and say hi there, or hello, or whatever you want to say. Everyone, please give me a second to put your name in the chat for attendance purposes. And then there's the link for the class Padlet. All right. And now that. Here we go. So thanks and I see that you caught up with the work too, Patty. Thank you. All right. So some of this we did in class, and some of this you guys finished and kept working and putting more posts of bleed and practicing the bleed. And let me see over here. I had looked at this one a little bit earlier. So what is happening here, we talked about this towards the end of the day, is that we have 4 different lines going on here. And the pink one is inside the document, and that's our margin. And usually we want to keep our text or anything that needs to be legible. Sometimes it's the face. It doesn't necessarily be text, but maybe you have someone's face there and you want both of their eyes in the image, then they should better be both inside of that to make sure that everything is very legible. If it doesn't matter and you can have them kind of half cut, that's fine. But basically inside the margins is whatever truly needs to be legible and visible. Then this gray line is the one what's this one called, you guys? This one. This is
Is this like the border or like the edge of the paper?
Yeah, it's the one that's going to be the real size of the piece that you receive in your hand. It's called the trim line because that's where the trim happens. The blade cuts down and cuts the paper there. So that's the trim line. That's basically what you're going to have in hand when you are done. Then this over here is the
bleed
bleed.
line.
And by the way, just because I'm showing Patty's work doesn't mean that only Patty has to answer. Okay, you're all welcome to just call it out because it really helps to have the memory of saying, hi, Eric. Thanks for joining us. All right, so that's the
Hello.
bleed. And remember, the bleed is for safety, so that we make sure that if the trim, the machines that cut don't cut exactly on the line, then there's a little tiny bit of space one way or the other. And now we're going to talk about what I mean about one way or the other. Right now, I only told you about the outside bleed, but we're going to see how we measure that on the inside. And then this extra stuff here is just extra. We're seeing another box. This box is holding the picture. Okay, so what's the box that holds the picture called? Does anyone remember?
Frame line?
The frame. And it's the frame that holds the image. And yes, can you make it outside of the bleed? Yeah, you can. Depends on your document, how much bigger you can make it or not. Ideally, since this is not necessary, you might want to just snap it back to the bleed just for kind of cleanliness' sake. But is it important and does it have to be done? Not necessarily, but there's no need for any image outside of the bleed. So if you put all that image outside, then you can either choose to maybe make it smaller because you're wanting to see more of it, or just to grab the frame, not the image smaller, but the frame, and drag it into the bleed, and it'll snap to the bleed, and then that'll be what seems like the other image, even though you would still have a little bit left to move it around. So we're going to talk more about moving this image around today. So last week we did this work where you guys began to see how you bring things in and the frame is independent from the content of the frame, okay? And depending on what size it comes in and how it comes in, how we fit it to the frame, okay? We also have practiced bringing in other elements. So this is something that Odessa made in Illustrator, and then we imported in by placing it. This is text that we created inside of InDesign, and then the picture itself was also something that we worked on in Photoshop. So what happens when you had all these elements, guys? When you have all these elements, two of them, Illustrator and Photoshop, that came from other applications, and then material that came from inside of InDesign. If we want to modify, say that we might want to make this look less yellow, less sunsetty, for example, or if we want to change the sky, or if we want to make the trees greener, where do we need to edit that photo?
In Photoshop.
We'll edit it in Photoshop. Do we need to leave InDesign in order to edit it? Do we need to go and find the file and open it in Photoshop?
Yes.
Ideally, we can connect from inside of InDesign by saying edit original, and it should open inside of Photoshop. But for a few of you guys who were in VDI, we discovered that you couldn't. I think it was Odessa, and was it Patty? You're on VDI too, right? And
Yes,
Eric?
I'm on VDI.
Eric, because you have Photoshop but not InDesign. So
Yes.
you guys found that somehow the edit original wasn't working in VDI. So you had to go and open the file in its own program. But as long as it was exactly the same file, then when you made the change, what was the crucial thing that needs to happen before it changes in InDesign? If you suddenly make this field look blue, what did you need to do for InDesign to
Save the file?
save the file? So if I make this field look blue, once I save the file in Photoshop, then when we went back to InDesign, we would see that the messages from the link file. Do we have a screenshot of the links? Oh, of all things. Looks like I didn't have you guys do a screenshot of the link.
I think we did. I'm not
Thought
too
we did,
sure.
but I don't see it. I had you guys do the Photoshop of the pages. Oh, over here. Here's one that has the links. Okay. So in the links panel, we would see here a big, we've seen two kinds of messages. One, which was a triangle with an exclamation point, and that meant that it was modified. So for example, it became blue instead of yellow. And then the other, oh, I just now noticed that Moni on hers put some horses running instead of the car. Remember how we removed a car? So she added some horses in there. And then the second message that we got here was a question mark. And a question mark was, for example, when Patty last week opened the file that I gave her, that was pointing to my computer. she had to, when it had a question mark, it's because the computer couldn't find it. So it's missing link, okay? So the modified link is that exclamation point. Missing is I can't find it, sorry. So you need to click on that and then redirect it to the right place, okay? All right. Oh, this isn't, oh, hi, Monica. We had another student called Monica, and when I clicked on, I just assumed it was Moni, who we call Moni. She calls herself Moni. Let me stop this for a minute to welcome you. Hi. I happened to be looking at the roster 10 minutes ago, and I saw that you had added in. So we're like 4 classes in, aren't we, you guys, of our 6 classes? So definitely I can't hear you. You're muted. So you're definitely welcome to join us. Patty joined us last week. But I need to know if you know something, nothing, what you know, so
I
that we
know
can.
a little bit, and I'm so sorry. I actually went to class tonight thinking it was at the Wake Center. So I just got back home and logged into my computer.
I am here. I'm actually at the Wake Center. You could have been sitting
Oh,
here.
God.
But that's because I just finished teaching another class before this.
Okay. All right.
All
So
right.
I was told this was the 3rd class. No, it's the 4th.
Is it? It's the 3rd. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. It's the
Well,
3rd.
I'm going to
Okay.
try and catch up. So I'll just quietly watch you guys.
Well, that's fine. We're going to, I have the recordings of the first 2 classes.
Oh, good.
And you're here today.
Great.
And, you know, I'll give you as much support as I can, but hopefully, if today you're a little bit lost, I don't know, we'll see depending on
Yeah,
your
no
speed or not,
stress.
then you can watch the recordings and catch up.
Okay.
So just a question, do you have the applications or are you going to use VDI?
I think I can. I have Photoshop. I have all of Adobe, and I've taken one class before. And is it Illustrator that you do?
Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and Bridge. So it's 4
I
applications.
think I can get all of them. Yeah.
Okay. And then we have some class files that we're using. So
Okay.
maybe not now, but during break, I can help you download them. For now, maybe you can just watch for a little bit and see where you're at. Or if you know how to get, do you know how to get into the class, share into the Google shared drives for Pipeline? I don't know if you're a student already, if you've done this, or if this is new
I
to you.
don't. It's been so long. But
Okay. I know that Nick probably doesn't have the class files either. Nick, did you download the class files yet?
No, not for this class, but
Probably
I will.
not.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me, here comes Odessa. Let me just really quickly show you guys how to get the class files. Then it's up to you to download them. Maybe Monica, you need to download some more apps if you have the whole Adobe thing.
Mhm.
But for now, let me share my screen, guys, since it's 2 of them. Hi, Odessa. I'm gonna just walk you through how to do it. And then after that, you can do it on your own. So let's head over to my.sbcc.edu. So we're going to go to the school website, and I put the link on the chat if you want to just click on that. And then you'll have to sign in. I was signed in because I was working on rosters, which is why I happened to see you. I'm so miraculous. Normally I would have never seen you, but I was just updating because I dropped people who haven't been showing up. And then I
Oh,
saw,
yeah.
wait, there's a new person here that I haven't seen. So I sent her the link to this class, guys, like literally at 4 minutes before class started, saying, I just saw you on the roster.
It was probably when I was driving to class.
Okay, so what you need to do to show me that you're where I am to continue is you need to, I'm going to keep saying, okay, are you ready? Say, give me a yes or a no. So right now it's just Nick and Monica. I think everyone else has the class files, but notice how Nick just gave me a little check mark. So on the Zoom, if you can find where you see the reaction buttons, the react buttons, and where you give thumbs up and all that, do you know where those are?
Oh, React.
Yeah. So when you click on react,
Raise
there's
hand.
one place that says, so that's the raise hand. Above that, you'll see a green check mark or a red X.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so green. So whenever I say, okay, are you there? I'll move on. If did it work, did it not work? You give me a green, then I clear your answer, and then I keep going. All right, so if you're in here, we're going to head over here on the left side. We're going to look for the word Gmail
Mhm.
and click on Gmail.
Okay.
And then once you have Gmail, we're gonna head over to the top where you see that it says SBCC and it has you, your initials. Click on that and we're gonna go to Google Drive.
Okay. Let me do that really quick.
Once you're in Google Drive, give me a yes.
Let's see.
So I'm just going somewhere else, but okay. That's just, I'm doing something else. Okay. So once you're in Google Drive, give me a yes.
Sure. Okay. I'm in Google Drive.
Okay. Okay, so I apologize. I was looking at an email. Okay, so then here on the left side, you click on shared drives. And from shared drives, you should see a digital design techniques folder right there. Do you see it?
Here, I'm sorry, let me go back to the screen so I can see what you're doing. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. It's been a while.
I'm
can
trying to
find-
respond to an
How do
email.
I?
So give me a second. I was trying to respond to an email. Okay, so I have another student who should be here, who isn't here, that is asking me for the link. So I'm a little bit distracted. Sorry. So tell me where you are. Did you make it to?
Okay.
Did you make it to the dashboard? Where did you make it? To the Gmail? Did you make it?
I got to the docs and then I lost the screen that you were showing me. So
Okay. When you say the docs, what do you mean you got here?
the
to
Google Docs.
Drive? Okay.
Yeah.
So in the Google Drive, then click on shared drives on the left
Okay.
side.
Let me go back. Let's see.
It's easier if you share your screen, which everyone does end up doing a lot here, if you're having trouble finding it, or if not, you need to verbally be telling me exactly where you're at so that I can.
Okay, how do I share my screen?
I have to stop sharing mine. Hold on. Okay, go ahead and do you see in the Zoom green button, like right next to the React button where you had given me the yes? There's a green button with a black arrow that says share. Hi, Moni. Hi, Paula. Thanks for joining us.
It's
Do you
so.
see it? Do you see the green arrow that says share?
I don't see it
Black arrow
anymore.
with a green button. Okay, find the React again.
It's, I'm sorry, I don't want to take all your time.
No. Let me explain. This is truly crucial because all the time during class, when something happens, immediately I go, okay, share your screen. I see it.
Okay.
You share it. We can move on. So everyone here has been through this. I need.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I had
Yeah,
moved
sure.
the screen.
So I
That's
need
why.
to find it. So where you see audio and video down at the bottom of all those buttons, do you see them? Okay.
Mhm.
As you move to the
Yes.
right, you should see the chat, you should see the React, you should see one that says share. And if you don't see it, you might see a little 3 dots that say more. And then click on the.
Okay, I got it. So
All right. So
what
when you
should
click
I
on it,
share?
okay, when you click on share, then don't change anything. Go to the bottom of that same screen and there's another button that's blue that with white letters that says share. Click on
Yes.
that one.
Okay.
If you're on a Mac, you should now be seeing something that says that you need to open your system settings.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you see
It says screen and system audio recording, Zoom.
So click on that. So on the right side of the word Zoom, you'll see a little bubble that you need to click on to turn on, and then it'll ask you for your computer password.
Okay.
So once you put your computer password, then it'll say do this now or later, and you should say later. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you said later, now you're ready to go back to Zoom and try to share again, and this time the share will happen. And this is one time only. Like all those steps that we just did, you'll never have to do again.
Oh, okay.
Now when you share, it'll be really quick.
Great.
There we go. So this is what it'll take to share normally, just that.
Okay.
You go ahead and say allow. Now you can close this window, close that. Yep. And you can also close this one because we don't need that anymore.
Ah.
And in fact, all these applications, yeah, click over here on this little X right there and close it. You don't need the zoom. Can you see a pink line that I'm drawing?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, click on that little X over here and close that window. Oh, you have the words, you have the zoom stuff. You can click on any of the black in between all those things and drag it out of the way.
Okay, because yeah, they're in the way of, there we
Yeah.
go. Okay, got it.
Click on that, okay. And now you can click on that X to get rid of that. All right, cool. Now go to shared drives. Cool. And, oh, see, you just signed in, so we don't have you there. So let me add you to the list by one by
Gonna
one. 'Cause
grab-
the problem is that since you just signed in, it doesn't recognize you yet. So give me a second.
It's okay. I'm gonna grab your
So I'm gonna have to add you. Can you remind me your username?
I think she just stepped out for a minute.
Oh,
Yeah.
Monte, there it is. Okay. All right, so I just added you. So now if you refresh your page, you should, there it is. Got it. So now double click on this that says Digital Sign Techniques.
On which one? I see four.
I see
four
only one that says
spots.
Digital Design Techniques. Hopefully you
Okay.
see four. I only see one. Okay, double click.
I'm sorry, everyone. I did not mean to come in like
No.
this.
That's all right. I mean, this was mainly about getting you to share your screen anyway. Okay, so right click on this and download. So Nick, hopefully you are doing the same.
Oops.
No, don't double click. Back up now again. Go over here again and click on this to back up. You need to right click and say download. No, not up there, not up there. This folder. This one, Digital Design Technique, that one, right click,
Right click. Okay.
download. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so now that's downloading. You can just minimize, go ahead and minimize Chrome or whatever, get out of the way. And then I see you have Photoshop and Lightroom.
Mhm.
Just so you know, guys, in case anyone else is like this, she has bazillions of apps open. Every single thing that has a dot down here is open, which when we use a ton of apps, a bunch of applications, that's going to be a problem. You might want to just leave Chrome, just quit Chrome. We don't need Chrome anymore. That way you can get out of all of this because you've got a bank thing there, Secure Chase. I want you to get out of all of this.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Okay.
we're not seeing anything, but go up to Chrome and just say quit. Yeah, quit Google Chrome.
Okay.
And, oh, you're still downloading, so I guess you can't quit yet. So continue downloading, continue downloading.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Because you can't really finish, it's still downloading. Okay, if you can, right click and quit everything else except for Photoshop. Except for Chrome, I would do that.
Where do I
because-
do that?
Yeah, so go over here to go to the Photos app for example and do a little right click right now. Put your mouse over that. Here, your mouse is way up there, so go down here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
right click
Okay.
and quit. And then
Okay.
do that with mail, with messages, do it to absolutely everything except for Chrome, because Chrome is still downloading. And I recommend every single person to do this for all of their apps. Okay, do it to your calendar, do it to Lightroom, do it to Notes.
Because they're all on.
Every one of these apps is on and running, and we need to open a bunch more.
Okay.
Right? So do it to Discord, do it to everything. And
Okay.
then the so
How can,
and then
let's see.
just no, that one is already there. So this one, just everything, because there's no way you'll be able to open Illustrator and Photoshop.
Okay.
And everything, especially, so get rid of Lightroom 2 in particular, because that's a really big one. Right click, right click.
Oh gosh,
Oh, it's not letting you. Oh, sorry. Okay, go up here to.
I was
Command
editing
Q.
earlier.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Sorry,
go to
guys.
Lightroom Classic.
it's
It's
private.
okay.
That was
Nothing?
not me. It was a client.
That's fine. Go to Lightroom Classic and go over there at the top and and click on that and quit. Quit.
Okay.
The shortcut is always Command Q. All that stuff. Okay. Anyway, at this point, so if you've downloaded the file, so go to Bridge and open that up. You can keep quitting everything else later, but that's downloaded. So head over to Bridge and open Bridge up. And we're going to continue from here. Now, later, when you have a second, and I'm going to stop your share because it's going to take, oh, it isn't taking forever. Okay, good. Go ahead and double click on downloads. Open it up,
Let me move that out of the way.
double click. Cool. And then here, double click on this, all the design techniques. And it's expanding. And cool. So now you can close this little window that it's open just to expand. Yeah.
Do I double click again or?
No, just click on it to close it.
Okay.
And close that. Okay. All right, I have so many windows open that it keeps, okay, close that.
I
I'm trying to
know.
get
I
to
was
the bridge.
working on a million
That's
projects
fine.
today.
Okay, now grab this and drag it here.
This and drag it
Drag it right there. Yeah, just grab it and drag it.
right
Cool.
here.
Let go. Yeah.
Okay.
And now just click on that and those are the class files. All right, so there we go. Now, I'm gonna let you go and keep closing all these other guys that you have open. And then when you have a chance, I see that you have Photoshop and Bridge. We also need Illustrator and InDesign. So I'm gonna start with InDesign. So if you can go to your Creative Cloud, which is up there. If you don't have these files, you can download them as we're speaking. These apps, you can click on that little X right there. So guys, just so you all know, looks like you don't have them. Oh,
I thought I had Illustrator. I
Mm.
don't.
looks like you're paying only for the photography account. Yeah, photography plan. So you don't have Illustrator and you don't have InDesign.
Oh my gosh. I
Okay.
do.
In which case you didn't need the class files because you have to use VDI. All right, so I'm going to continue with the class.
Okay.
We're going to do some work in Photoshop, but mainly we're going to be doing InDesign and Illustrator. So plan B is to use VDI.
What is that?
Yeah. So I'm going to stop your share right now, but you need to
Okay.
basically go ahead and follow some instructions that I will send you. And what you need to do, and I wish I had checked
You know
my
what?
information first.
I
No,
why don't I
here's what
catch
need to do.
you next semester when I'm all set up? I feel like I
Well,
just wasted
That's
all
okay.
your
Right now, you can sit here because that's something you'll just do during the break. It's fine. I mean,
Okay.
you have time. I'm gonna send you the information and you can there's 3 people on VDI. So it basically is you need to go to a website that connects you to City College and use the school's applications. So it's no
Okay.
biggie, but I'm not going to be able to teach that to you right now. So I'll send you some information and you can set yourself up during break. Okay.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we'll continue. Now, since Nick also needed the class files and it's a good reminder for everyone that I'm going to share my screen now. That there we go. The documents that I was just the folder that I was just sharing over here is the class Padlet, and I'm going to put this link in the board. Sometimes I can tell that you're really comfy with your computer. So it was very, I thought I could just catch you up and you'd continue, but I wasn't expecting that the documents, that the apps weren't going to be there. So then I should have checked with that first.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I thought they were there.
No, you need to apologize. That was my bad. I should have double checked first. Okay, so guys, we're going to continue, and yes, happy delightful digital design Monday to you too, Moni. So this is the Moni who's here is the Monica that I thought was showing up instead of when you showed up. So there you go. All right, guys. So we're going to continue. We were doing a little bit of review at the beginning with people's work. So let's head over to InDesign, and we can keep working with this conversation that we were having, but we're going to start with a new file. Some of you guys have the old file, some of you don't. So we're just going to start clean. So let's click on new file. Oh, and Nick isn't here. Okay, so we're going to go to print. We're going to start with print. And over here, we're going to head over to inches. So now, remember that we talked about, we've been leaving it at 8.5 by 11. We haven't changed that too much. At one point, we changed the orientation in one of the files that we used last week. But what we have changed is how many pages our document has and whether it was facing pages or not. So let's go ahead, and this time we're going to have it be facing pages. We're going to have this be 4 pages. So we're going to go over here and click on 4 pages. And we are going to have it be landscape. And we're going to make this be 8 by 8, although if it's 8 by 8, it doesn't matter really if it's landscape or not. So in reality, who cares if it's landscape? Because we're making a square little booklet with 4 pages. Actually, yeah, that's fine. And one thing that we haven't done yet is to add any text frames, and we haven't added any columns. We're still not going to do that. But when would we do that is when you want a frame to be there in existence already for text, for like a book where you're going to be laying 40 pages of text. You don't want to have to be creating a text box each time. So when you put in a primary text frame, every one of those pages will already have text. Now we're not going to do that right now, but when we do the multiple page document, we're going to practice with that. And then columns, like again, if you know that you're going to be having a document like this one that is already going to be written all in 2 columns, then you're going to start with 2 columns or 3 columns. Again, for now, we're still working on content and how to bring it in. So these things right now don't apply. 1 column means no columns, like basically all goes across. So that means nothing. The moment you add the number 2, then you have 2 columns. So that means nothing. So we ignore it. The good old margin that I've been talking about, that pink line that we reviewed today, that's everything that's supposed to be legible has to be inside of that margin. And if you have an 8 by 8 page, is 5-inch margin too big, too small? For now, we're going to leave it as is, and we're going to decide later when we're opening. And then here's the good old bleed. And the bleed that we've discovered is the traditional bleed is what number, you guys? How much?
125.
0.125. So usually just 1 click up gives us the 0.125. This is like 99% of the documents I've ever worked on have 0.125 bleed. Every now and then there's a special circumstance. You might have a different bleed, but that's pretty traditional all around. And then one that we haven't talked about yet is the slug. Look at those names, bleed and slug. So bleed, you already know what it is. We're going to keep working with that today. But it's that extra bit that you put around to make sure that whoever's doing the trimming and the cutting, if they make a mistake, you're not left with lines on your document. And then slug used to be used a lot. We don't use it so much anymore, but a slug is non-printable. It's a place that you would put outside of the document, outside even of the bleed, where you would put indications for the printer, like this needs a dye job, this is the time, or these are the numbers I'm available, or stuff like that. We don't really use a slug much anymore. There's other documents I'm going to show you when we package the file where you give that information for when the printer needs to contact you for something. So I haven't used a slug in years. That's not to say that no one uses it, but I really haven't used a slug in years and years. So that's what that cool word there means. All right, so let's go ahead and say create. And so here we have, I'm going to quit this message. And so here we have our, move you guys over a little bit to the right. here we go. So here we have our document, which we have modified from the original setup to have over here the layers and the links and the pages. So if you don't have any, and some character stuff. So if you don't have these over here, where would you get them? If any of these guys didn't appear, where did we go get them? Do you remember? Just as review?
Under Windows or
Yeah,
Windows?
so we went up to the word Windows and we said, okay, I want to grab my links. And so I clicked on links. I want to grab my pages, and we got pages. So if right now you forget what each of these things are, you can click on them, of course, and just see them. But if you were to go grab links again, since my links are there, what happens is that links opens up from there, right? It doesn't like that they appear again. They just open up from there, and that's where the links are. Now, notice that this is the same little box. And so in the same box, I have two tabs. I have links or layers. So this is the layers and this is the links. But if I click on only layers, then links is right there and there's the links, right? So there's a links panel and the layers panel. Here's my pages panel, which is showing me 4 pages. And remember what we did the other day with the whole booklet idea, where I showed you the booklet, which is over here. Bring it over again. And I showed you this little booklet where we saw, and this one is actually, this is a 4-page booklet. It has another little insert, but this is different than the one that I showed you the other day. Let me stop the share for a second. You can see this better. So this is exactly the layout that, that we have right there. It's a square thing. I'm not sure if it's 8 by 8, but I think so. And then when you open it, it has 2 pages in the middle. And then when you close it, it's the last. So this is page 1. This is page 2 and 3, and this is page 4, okay? And when you see it in InDesign, instead of seeing it as 2 spreads, so this is something that you could still pull off designing in Illustrator. This is the minimum, the maximum, so to say, amount of pages you could pull off in Illustrator, because it could have been designed as a spread and a spread. You know what I mean? Could have been designed like that and that, because then it doesn't need to be collated or anything. That's not ideal, but the most you could design as far as pages is something that's like that, because then it would be a one double spread here. You would just do, sorry, I'm not looking at the camera, there and there. Now this one has an additional little pocket here where this other little booklet goes inside, right? So forget it, you know, and then we're talking major things, because this is like a 25-page booklet. I don't know how many pages this thing has. So there's no way you would have to design it in InDesign, because it has those multiple pages, okay? But the little cover or little holder that holds it could have been done in Illustrator, or here in, hold that one down to the ground, or here in InDesign. So now I'm going to share again. And back to InDesign. Okay, so here's what I was showing you. Page 1, page 2 and 3, the open spread, and page 4. So this is like front cover, spread, and back cover. Okay, so that's how that layout goes. Now, notice that right above the 4 pages, we have these other little white boxes. For now, let's ignore them. We'll get to understand what they are in a minute. But for now, we'll ignore them. And over here, if we start scrolling down, then that was our first page, then here's our double, and here's our back page, okay? All right, so if we look at this, and now hopefully you can see in the little image, is this a document that needs bleed or not bleed?
It needs bleed.
It needs bleed because all of this material, if reaches the edge with color of some type or another. Some of it is a photograph, right? It's reaching the edge, but others is just color. And it doesn't matter that it's just color or not. If we were to recreate something like this, we would need it to extend past the box. Now, in the case of the double spread, right? The inner pages, I'm sorry, these are the inner pages. How about this page? Does it need bleed? Can you see it? I think Odessa, you're saying
Yeah,
something, but
no, that one wouldn't need bleed because it's all white on the margin.
but the whole point is the next page does, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
so, like in a magazine, when you see, 100-page magazine, and some pages have these very clean edges with white around it. If this were a standalone piece, it wouldn't need bleed. But it's part of a piece that's going to have bleed, so ultimately this will have bleed as well. There's just nothing that we need to take to the edges, okay? Versus that one does have. Now I'm going to ignore this little flap. We can create this little flap if we want to in the document, but for now I'm going to ignore it. We're just going to set this little guy up. So let's go ahead and figure out. Let me actually stop my share again because we're going to have to do some figuring out. Where's my share thing? Here we go. So this document, it so happens to have me on the cover, but that's coincidental. That's not why I'm showing it. It's just that the samples that I had at home, which aren't with me on the cover, are at home. And today I'm still teaching from school. So I'm using this document that we have at school. I have other examples there, but it's actually a perfect example of a simple 4-page brochure with bleed. And what we're going to do is we're going to do our best to kind of recreate it. Okay. Now we don't have exactly that logo. I mean, I do have it. It was sent to me the other day, so I can send it to you guys, but it's not in your class handouts. And we're going to put this photo in. We're going to put any of the photos that we have in our class documents. Okay. But we're going to see what it takes to create this kind of situation. Now, first of all, look at it, and maybe I need to, tell me if I do spotlight for everyone. Have I gotten big on everyone's
Yeah.
page?
Yes.
Okay. So now look at this and tell me, what do you think about the margin? What kind of margin do you think is happening here? So this is I think it's 8, maybe it's 7, but let's assume it's the 8x8 document that we're using. It might be a bit smaller. I'll check on the size right now. I don't have a ruler. Can you visually imagine where the margin might be?
It looks to
looks
me
like it
like,
goes-
oh, go ahead.
It goes all the way to the bleed horizontal, but it's probably kind of by an inch or so on top and bottom.
So when we see a margin, it's whatever needs to be legible. So it doesn't go all the way to the bleed anywhere. Just because there's no words there doesn't mean that the margin isn't there. Because if you pay attention to where Career Skills Institute ends, like the end of the E or the beginning of the C, if you pull your eyes down, right, from here, if we consider that's the margin, and we drag it down to the end of the R, that would be the margin. And what else seems to be lining up with that, you guys? If that's the
Skills
margin line,
Institute.
then
The
that
ba-
whole logo is also inside of the margins. Does that make sense? Because that's not a logo that can get put outside of the margin, because if something happens in this area, and we're going to talk about why is that in danger or not, and is it in danger, then for sure, as long as it's inside of the bleed, it won't be cut off. Does that make sense? Now, what do you mean there's a chance that this might get cut off? Well, if it's outside of that area, it might. So this is the trim size, remember? And the bleed that we were talking about extends an 1/8 of an inch outside of that, in case the machines cut wrong, remember? But if they cut wrong on one side, that means that they cut in on the other side, remember? So you're still going to get the 8x8 piece, but it's going to be shifted to one side or to the other. So the bleed, that's 1/8. So let me go back over here because this is a really good place to see that. The bleed is giving us that extra little bit over here in case they end up cutting wrong too big. But what if they cut too short? Well, there's also 1/8 of an inch here that can go bad. So there's really a full 1/4 of an inch that's considered a danger zone. Does that make sense? Both on the outside and on the inside, because it could go either way that the cut gets wrong. So it's possible that one of these got cut wrong, it would cut up to here. Does that make sense? So now, if it were to be cut up to here, and that logo or those words had reached that area, that bleed, if the text had gone to the inner bleed area, so to say, then it would be weird because the cut might come right down on the letter E or right down on the logo. Does that make sense? So the margin is always further in from that inner bleed. So that worst case scenario, if the cut happens to take all the bleed, then you still have some space between the bleed and the first letter. Does that make sense? And space between the bleed and the first line of the logo, or here first between the bleed and that line. Does that make sense? Why the margin is even further in from the bleed. Got
Yeah,
it?
I have a question. Do they ever
Yeah.
cut these after they're put together, or they cut each individual page first and then put it together?
No, this is one piece of paper. This isn't stapled or anything. It's one piece of paper.
Right.
It's like a brochure, so to say, which is different than the inside that's stapled. But this is one piece cut out of one bigger piece, okay? So this one, they're gonna cut it all and then they're gonna put it together. Now, in this case, let me take it apart. This has this little fold to put the business card in. You know how folders do that? It's glued. Take it apart. So in reality, this little piece here actually has an extra little tab. So the way this is created, push it further back, is even bigger than the 2-page bleed. Like if we were to create this same piece, it would actually be a piece that's cut out of an even bigger piece of paper. And notice what's happening here. Can you tell? This is the fold, right? And then what's this? What's this little
Bleed goes just a little bit past the
Yeah,
fold.
that box has been made to extend to the bleed so that if I fold it and put it in here, if it happens to fold wrong, I still have a little bit of extra. See that? So that if the fold goes wrong or if the cut goes wrong, I won't have anything there. So that's a perfect example. Again, I showed you the other day on the other product box that we opened. That's an example of printing the box full to the bleed. Does that make sense? And wherever this cut was, there was also a bleed over here so that if the cut went wrong, there'd be extra and the same down here. But in the rest, they just cut it off so you don't see it. Over here, you cut it off, you don't see it. But it's in the folds that you do see it because it stays. Does that make sense? So then this gets cut, cha-chunk, and then some machine or a person or who knows comes in and folds it in and pastes it in there. But this is one piece. Later, you put in this other one in here. And this is different because this is a cover and multiple sheets, and these are stapled. If you see over here, the little staples, right? So this is a stapled document that each one of these pages is separate. So you first print them, then you cut them, then you staple them. Okay, so that little show and tell. After that little show and tell, let me just show you here a little brochure that I also brought. So this brochure, does it need, here, let me show you this one here. Does it need, is it bleed, not bleed? Is it full bleed? What's this kind of document here?
Well, it needs bleed because of the back picture.
Mm-hmm. All right, so definitely there's a picture here, and that's why you need bleed. How about the green? Would I need bleed on this side? Sorry. If it weren't for the picture, would I need bleed here?
No.
Aha,
Well,
that was a
yeah.
trick question.
The
Yes,
text,
White
because
paper.
text is
then you have
the lower text is very close to the
Yeah.
margin, so
We're gonna talk about that in a second. Full, let me
but
finish
yeah, you
the
would need
bleed.
it
Don't need
because
white.
otherwise
Yeah,
you would
this
have
is a
green
white
and
sheet of
white.
paper, guys.
Ah,
Gets put
right.
through and they lay down the colors to turn the green. So this is considered a full bleed design because it's a block of color, and that's why it's a bit of a trick question because some people think of it as photos, but this also needs the extra green so that when they cut it to the trim line, all the extra little bit that falls to the ground carries the rest of that green with it. Does that make sense? And then over here, that's why I turn it around, because in this place, because of the photos, you would have gone, oh yeah, because of the photos. But in reality, even if the design were to be this one, Unless they put green paper in case if they put green paper, you couldn't have white letters, right? Because there's no white ink. So this is white paper with green letters that just don't put ink on the white area that turns into letters, okay? So this also needs bleed. All right, and then you were mentioning, I heard you, Paula, said how close to the margin this is. So whoever designed this was playing a little bit dangerously, and you're right, they have a very tiny amount of margin, or this was cut incorrectly and maybe this had better margin, but the cut was wrong and they went into it. But good news, they didn't go into it enough to break it out because they did respect the margin. Does that make sense? We don't know because I don't have another one of these. And I wasn't the designer, so I don't know. Now, it would seem like the margin was really at the bottom of California Department of Fish and Wildlife. That next to one line was the margin, and then over here. So that seems like that was the original margin, and then someone just decided to add that a little bit below the margin, right? That little bit right there. It even seems to be a different font. It's like a little logo with a little code or something. It doesn't even belong to the information. That's email, whatever. And that's like a teensy little, I don't think the focus can go there. It's like a little mini logo and a CCHP. So I don't know, some kind of a rule and regulation or something. So that's a mistake. They should have raised all this when someone remembered, oh, we didn't get that in. The whole thing should have gone up so that that bottom thing would also fit in the margins. It's not even the same font. It's even thinner. It's even skinnier font. And so it's even harder to read because by then the bleed of the green is bleeding into the white line. So it's very hard to read what's there. It should have gone up. The rest of the margin is okay. That's the margin, the side margin, which should be equivalent to this side margin, right? And so on and so forth. But yeah, down there they went way too close to the corner. All right. Let me share my screen again. So now that remember that one of your homeworks was to take some stuff and tear it apart, right? I told you guys to open some boxes and look at them and do a little bit of what we're doing here. So I haven't asked you to kind of talk to me about it or report on it, but if you have anything to say about that, anything that you tore apart, you're welcome to share that with me. And remember that if you did do any of that, you can also put that kind of information here in the Padlet. Let's head back to InDesign now. And now if this were to be that cover that we're talking about, then this would be our bleed. This is our trim line, and that's the margin that we should respect. And the example of the brochure, they had a margin, but they put something beneath it. And let me just make a, oh, I didn't mean to go out there. Line, what is that? Hold on, that line. I need to put this into place so that I don't fall out of it again. Extend the, so I'm gonna make a little box here. Doesn't matter what. Let me just fill it with something. Okay. So if this box, right, had to go and head all the way to be printed correctly, and I snapped it to this little edge here, that's when we discovered that it wouldn't do well. If we snap it to the bleed, which is over there, then hopefully, if all goes well, that should be cut off, right? Fall to the ground, and that's the end of our piece of page. It'll be blue all the way to the end. And then the other side of this, which we don't see here, I'm going to put a guide. Oh, and this guide is blue, so that's a very bad color. Hold on, let me change this to a yellow. There we go. So now I'm going to grab a guide. Okay, so here's a guide, and I'm going to put it on the inside of that eighth. You see that? So this is the bleed. That's the 1/8 of an inch of a bleed. And let me just zoom in a little bit to this. Zoom in. So I'm just showing you that little corner. So if this is our bleed right there, that's going to fall out, then we should have that same amount of space over here free for them to make a mistake and cut too far one way or the other. Does that make sense? Which is why we want a margin that stops my text at a normal place so that if this is where it finishes cutting, I still have a lot of extra space. Okay? So this is just the practical.
We lost your audio again.
Okay, can you hear me again? Yeah, it's 3 to
Yeah.
4 or 5 times a class. It's gonna break up. I don't know what. It just stops. It says you've taught enough. Go home. Mm. It doesn't during the front. It does it during the front class too. So it just doesn't want to work. It's a lazy microphone. Okay. So given that whenever we have to make a box that's red or blue or whatever, we still need to put like that green brochure. It still needs to have the color extended to the edges. Okay. And this line, which isn't necessarily, it's a guide that I just added. We don't draw that one in there, but it's implied that it's in there. It's implied that you don't want to get to that. So if that's so, then this margin might be okay, or it might be a bit too generous. Maybe I can go down a bit further with that margin and still be comfortable. That's a 1/2 inch margin from the edge. 1/8 is taken for safety's sake, but then the rest of it over here is free space that if I don't use it and I need space, then I can just extend the margin a little bit more and I'll still be safe as long as I don't go past about this much. I still should be safe. All right. Cool. So this is the document that you all have. If we're trying to recreate this little guy over here, and I don't know if you can see my little window now, then we're going to need a box on top, right, that has red and it bleeds. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and over here on the left side, all we've done up to now is bring in stuff from photos from Photoshop, and we brought in stuff from Illustrator, but now we're going to create something that's actually from InDesign. That red box we can create in here. So let's head over here to our different possible frames. And I don't know if you remember, but this one we had used before, the rectangle, and then I had to click and hold to get the ellipse tool. But in this case, we don't need a frame. We're going to place anything in it. We just need a rectangle that we're going to just fill with a color. So if we don't need to place an element inside of it, then right underneath the frame is the actual rectangle. And we can make this one be a red rectangle. So let's click on the red rectangle, which if I were to click and hold, I can also make into an ellipse or a polygon, but we just want a rectangle. And now I'm going to go ahead and make this rectangle go from the end of the bleed to the end of the bleed. And somewhere in there, and maybe we'll have to measure it later, but for now I'm going to click from one end of the bleed to the other, right there. And then I'm going to leave it, I don't know, I'm going to kind of drop it there for now. And I've made a rectangle that has no color, nothing. It's just an empty rectangle. When I head over here to the appearance, I discover that it's not filled with anything. So for now, even though we don't have the right color, let's just click in there on the fill, and it says apply to frame. This is, even though it's a rectangle, it's still considered a frame, and let's apply a color. So just for now, let's make it this red, even though we might change this red. Let's just choose the red because these are pure red. Cyan, magenta, yellow, red, and green are the pure 100% colors that come. We can click on this bottom here, and when you get the double-headed arrow, you can pull it down to make it a bit bigger. We're going to add some new colors here so we can make it quite a bit bigger, so we have space to add new colors. But let's use the red that comes with the default set of palettes. Those of you who have used Illustrator with me, you know, as a default set of colors in Illustrator, we get many more default sets of colors. Here we just get the basic set. And if we look over here, there's a stroke. this thing has a black border around it, which is a stroke, and we don't want a stroke on that. We don't want any kind of line on that. Although if I pay attention to it, there is like a little white line, which we can create with lines or with a stroke. Here, let me just show you. I don't know if you can tell, but there is a little white line there between that and that. It's the same white line that's there and here. So here you see it, but over here it's such a light background that you can't tell, but there is a white line. So I guess we could put a white stroke around it. I hadn't thought of that, but I kind of like to make my lines, but sure, let's put a white stroke just for showing how that would work. So let's go to stroke, click on stroke. And do you see white color in here? Yeah, you do. I don't see white. I say something that says paper. That's what's white for InDesign.
And isn't it gonna be cut, Diana? And then isn't it going to be cut if the stroke is outside of the bleed?
The outside part is going to fall out anyway. It's going to be part of what falls out. And this part here is going to be the stroke. That
Oh,
said,
okay.
I would prefer, see, the reason I would prefer this not to be a stroke, and let me just go over here and let's say that we're going to make it fat. Let's make it a, I don't know, a 3-point stroke or something. Let's just do that for now. And I'm going to show you what is good or bad about it. But when I click away and I zoom into this thing now, right? Notice that I had made my frame to the exact bleed size I had, but then the stroke is going inside and outside of it. Let me just move this out of the way because the stroke always goes half of it to the outside, half of it to the inside of the actual frame. So what's happening here is that if I make it with no stroke, hold on, let me take the stroke off. Let me say none, no stroke. If I try to put this box to the actual real edge, right? There it is. It's on the edge of the bleed, right? It's exactly on the edge with no stroke. And I wanted that 1/8 of an inch for safety. If I were to give this a stroke of paper, 3 points, I think we had said, then part of it falls outside of the bleed, but the other part is falling inside of the bleed, meaning I have less red for my bleed. You see what I mean? So I have less safe space. So I would have to make the box even bigger, and over here you can't see the stroke because we've got white on white, but it is there. Like if I were to put another box here, you would see it. So here, let me put another box and you'll see it. So there is a white stroke there. Let me just delete that again. But I can't really control that too well. So I have a feeling I'm going to prefer to make a line that's white line that I can put all over the place instead of having to be stroked. But I'm not sure. There's so many ways of designing these things. I'm not sure about that. For now, they've got white lines. They've got strokes on all of the boxes. This could have been designed both ways. It's going to be easier for us to design it if we're trying to recreate it by leaving a stroke. In which case, we need to grab this box and make it bigger so that the entirety of the stroke falls outside of the bleed line. See that? So that our bleed line is still there and it's safe. Does that make sense? I'm putting red all the way up to the red bleed line, and that extra stroke is extra. Can you see that? So for now, I'm going to go and do it on the other side as well, and I'm going to grab that box and just pull a little bit more so that I have red all the way to that bleed line, and the rest of the white stuff is just falling outside. That for now will be the best way to do this. And I'm doing command plus, command minus to zoom in, and to zoom from one place to the other, I'm using spacebar. I'm clicking on the hand, the same shortcuts that we've been learning for all the different applications apply for this too. And now that is correct. Now, if I want to see how this is going to look once it gets cut and trimmed, what key should I press right now?
The
Which one?
W.
W. And there we go. All that stuff that we just did is gonna look like that, which looks, other than the color, pretty much like this box, right? On this document, a red box on the top of the document, because it's showing me up to here, and it's eliminating this margin line, but it's showing me this up to there. Yeah? Pretty good? If you have that, give me a yes. Everyone give me, let me clean your answers. Give me a yes if you managed to make that box. Give me a no, or ask me a question if something's not working.
Well, my InDesign has frozen. I clicked on adjust layout and I can't get the pop-up box to close nor change my screen.
All right, and why did you put it just layout, just to understand?
I just got click happy.
Oh, got it. Yeah, if you're frozen, there's not much you can do until it unfreezes, but other than turn off all the other apps that are running on your computer right now. It's kind of what
Okay.
I was doing at first with Monica, but that was for everyone. Don't have any apps, especially if you have the internet with like 5 to 10 open tabs, web pages. All of that is constantly refreshing and constantly taking up computer processing power. So when you're working with InDesign, all these programs take up a lot of computer power. So you want to turn off everything that you can.
Is that especially on the VDI or VMI, whatever it is?
Especially if you're on VDI, then anything that's running on your computer outside of VDI is a problem. All right, I'm trying as we speak. I was looking for my oh, that's not the right one. So Monica, I'm sending you the email that has all the information.
Okay.
Of how to get onto VDI and stuff like that.
Thank you. I was just trying to purchase Adobe. I was just looking at the
Oh,
options.
this also has information on how to purchase it. You would not want to purchase it directly from Adobe. I mean, you can, but it's much more expensive. You can purchase it through the email that I'm sending you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I just sent it to you.
Thank you.
What email did you use?
I think,
Do you know how to
oh.
get your pipeline account or not? Here, let me see if I can find your other one.
Yeah, I don't see it on the pipeline one.
I haven't sent it yet.
Okay, you can send it to my personal if you have it.
I'm looking for your personal. I just sent it to your pipeline, but I didn't have here.
Do you want me to send you my personal? I'll do either one.
I just got
whatever you
it.
want.
Yeah, I just found it. Okay, but I just sent it already to your pipeline. So if you know how to find it from your pipeline, pick it up from there, so I can keep teaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So go and do that. Okay, so now here we go. On the rest of this document here, let me stop sharing my screen so you can see me again. So here we go. So we made a box here that supposedly is going to hold this Career Skills Institute in it. But we don't know yet if the margin is right, but all I know that is if I need it to fit in the margins, then I'm going to have the same amount of red at the top than at the bottom of the text, right? So we're going to go ahead and figure that one out in a minute. But then we're going to have a box, and we're going to just drop in a box here, a frame that's empty to hold in a photo. And then we're going to have to create these little guys. Now these are the same width as that. Okay. So let's go and recreate this stuff that's down here. And then we're going to actually recreate some colors to learn how to make some colors. So maybe you can take a screenshot of this for a minute so I don't have to keep showing it to you all the time. Maybe I can do a screenshot later and put it in our class handouts. But basically, we're going to make a black box and then 1, 2, 3, 4. They're different sizes, little internal boxes. But we have one right there that already has the right bleed. So we're going to copy that. We're going to paste it down here, and then we're going to resize them. We can paste 4 of them and resize them all until they all make this shape. Okay. Now we can use some guides or not, but first let's go ahead and just copy this box, and I'm going to show you how to do it with a shortcut so that you can drag it down, and then we'll make 4 of those really quickly. I'm going to clear your answers. If there's any questions, remember to stop me. Other than that, I'm going to share my screen again. And by the way, I haven't yet had us do any Padlet posts. So why don't we do, there's not much to this, but it's what we've done up until now. Let's do a screenshot of this here. And just to inaugurate our Padlet, which let me give you guys the, let me copy the link to the Padlet. There we go. I think I had put it in there once, but let's, there we go. Peggy already put hers in there. And remember that if I ever forget and you're putting things in the Padlet, remember to remind me to ask you all to put things in the Padlet. So here we go. Rectangle.
Also, Deanna and everybody else, I actually also found uh, a digital version of the pamphlet you were showing,
Oh,
Deanna. So I'll go ahead and send
oh,
it in the chat
oh, thank
if
you, thank you,
people
thank
needed
you.
that. Yes, of course.
Yay. Here it is. Thank you. Aw, that's so perfect. Well, and these are all the interior pages. So this is really the cover of this booklet, not the little 2-page I'm doing, but it's fine because the cover is exactly the same. You see that? They didn't, and I'm thinking that the back is exactly the same. Yeah, they didn't design a new back. They just, yeah, they just the same back for both products, just that one holds the other. Oh, that's so perfect, Patty. Thank you. So now you guys can
Yes.
click on the link that she added so that, and you know, you can do a little screenshot of that if you want it to have it handy. Maybe I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to do a little screenshot of this and add some of the gray to it so that we can keep referring to it that way instead of having me always be stopping. So I'm going to do that. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to place it. I just did a screenshot, and I'm going to post that screenshot in the Padlet so that in case you guys can't figure out how to do it yourself, I'm going to put a little, let me just first post this, which I haven't finished writing, but let me post that screenshot. You know what? Let me do a screenshot also of the back side. Drag it all the way to the bottom really quickly. A screenshot of this, and it's a small screenshot. It's just for us to have an idea. I guess I could have expanded it, but that's just enough to, could have made it bigger, but so now I'm going to put it in the Padlet, and I'm not going to post it just as a screenshot the way we do. I'm actually going to post the file so you guys can actually upload the file itself. Here we go. Here's the file. And the reason I am uploading it as a file is so that you guys can download it. Cover. And now I'm going to put back cover. Oh, my goodness. Can't seem to type today. I'm going to drag The back cover in there. Oh, I got you the cover again instead of the back cover. Here's the back cover. And I can post it better. Here we go. And it's very fuzzy, so you can't really read what it says, but that's okay. I can do a better screenshot later. But for now, it's there. So that'll help. Pin the post so that we stay at the top. Here we go. So now you guys can click on that and you can download it yourselves. So you would like right click and you could download the attachment. Right click and download the attachment. Okay. And when you do that, then you'll have that now. You don't have to, you can just be watching, but then what we can do is we can place it. The file place, okay, which is kind of what we've done before. Okay, so or Command Control D, whichever you prefer. And then I'm going to go over here to where I have screenshots, which where did I have them on this computer? I had them somewhere in downloads. There's a folder called screenshots. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it in from over here because I don't have screenshot. So we can have it near us as a sample. Okay, and it's smaller and it's whatever, but it gives us an idea. Okay. And I guess I can repeat that for the back cover. Put another one over here and then replace that with the back cover. So I went and did a file place. I just did it with shortcuts. I should have shown you one, but file place. Okay, and then you go find it. Probably have it in your downloads if you downloaded it or if you created your own. But right now, as long as I can keep showing it to you, it doesn't need to be exact, but there you go. Thank you for that. Let's save all of this file. So let's do Command or Control S so we don't lose any of this. And let's call this one Recreate School of the Career Skills Answers CSI brochure. And we're not going to recreate the whole thing, but that's, we're learning about leads and shapes and guides and stuff like that. So let's call that one and let's save. And you're done with this. And again, you don't have to bring in this. That's fine. I'll be showing it. But as long as you have the box and you have saved the files, then give me a yes and I'll continue. If you're stuck anywhere and need some help, then let me know. Okay, when I see yeses everywhere, I'll move on or ask me if you're stuck.
I think Eric has a question.
Yes, Eric? Thank you.
Sorry,
No, it's
I don't know
perfect.
if you've mentioned this before, but what's the slug on where when you set up a bleed and slug?
Oh, yeah, I think you joined us a little bit later today when I explained it. It's for now, don't worry.
Okay. I just realized that I had that my line wasn't red. It was like blue, and then I changed the
Oh, because
slug.
you added bleed and you added slug instead of bleed. So I'm gonna make a new
Yeah.
document. So the bleed here is where we add, here, let me put it back in inches so we can understand the sizes. Okay, so the bleed is that red line. The slug down here is
Mhm.
if you use it, it's something that goes outside of even the bleed. And it used to be used, see how it's automatically not linked as opposed to all the rest? Usually
Yeah.
people might put, like I'm gonna put in a bottom slug of a 1/2 inch, for example, and I'm gonna say create to that. And then here's my document that I created with an extra slug of 1/2 inch. And that would be a place outside of the document where I might write in some indications to the printer, like make sure the da 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 da, or use the color, you know, whatever indications I might have, or here's my number to call me in case something's not working or stuff like that. We don't really use a slug so much anymore. It's still there for that, and we might need it, but there's a different place and way that we can communicate with the printers now. So, but that's where you would, if there's something special about the document or things that you needed to say, you would write it in there. But it's external. So like when this gets printed, this gets cut off, so it falls out. Okay, it's not part of the document. It's extra stuff. All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now,
Sorry, I
if
just
you already have a document that doesn't
Mhm.
have bleed, then you can head over here where it says adjust layout, and no, the bleed isn't there. You'd have to go up to layout.
I went through
You can go
through
to,
file
you can go back
file
to
and
document setup. You would have to go to file
yeah,
document setup, and here you
that's
would go
right.
and set up your bleed over there.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I saw it and I took the
Okay.
0 or I changed it to 0 and then finally
Yeah,
gave me the
so
red
put the
line.
0 in slug and 125 for the bleed.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
bleed
you.
and slug right there. You're welcome. All right, so now I'm gonna drop that one. All right, I'm seeing yeses everywhere else, so I'm gonna continue. Let me clear your answers. And okay, so here's the box. We don't know if it's big enough yet, if it's gonna fit. If we use that margin for our text, then clearly that's not long enough, but maybe we need to change the margin size. I have a feeling already, but just by looking at this, that our margin's gonna need to be changed. Now, if I don't select this box and I'm selecting nothing, this is the pasteboard, right? I put this on the pasteboard like an extra thing for us to see. But if I'm clicking over here on the pasteboard, then what I see here in the properties panel is going to be the margins and stuff. So maybe now it's time to work on these margins and make them smaller. So instead of having them be 1/2 inch, I'm going to click on this arrow and see how they're linked. So when I bring them down to have them be only whatever size, I don't know how many clicks I'm going to give them, 1/4 of an inch, which is way too small for a margin. When I give them 1/4 of an inch, they've all changed. So now I'm going to go from 1/2 inch to 1/4 of an inch. That's not enough. So maybe I'm going to leave it at 375. So let's see how a bleed of a margin of 375 is going to work. But again, if I ever wanted one margin to be different than another, which is very typical in books that you'll have a bigger margin on the top and bottom and left letter on the sides, you'd have to click on this link and then enter each number separately because you would unlink it. See how when I click on it, now I'm going to leave it linked. And so when I change that, it changes all the way around. And now I'm fine with having a bleed that's the same all the way around. But see how my bleed has moved, my margin has moved, and it's much closer to the top. So before we go much further, I'm going to grab this same box, which we don't know it's the right size yet or not, but I want to make a copy of it. And if I hold down the Option or Alt key for the PC, Option for the Mac, I can just click and drag. And here I've made another box. I'm going to undo that again. Once again, I'm in my selection tool. I haven't changed from my selection tool. Hold down the Option or Alt key and click and drag, and I make another one. Now, if I want it to be made in the exact same position, which would be something I'd want, I'm going to Command Z to undo that. Then I'm going to hold also onto the Shift key so that now when I pull it out, it is constrained. I can't move it. I don't know if you can tell, but I can't move it from here. And as I move this all the way to the bottom, then I'm able to put it here in the bottom, and I know it's exactly on exactly the same lines because I held my Shift key down the whole time. Does that make sense? I'm going to do that again. Select that and hold down. You could also do a copy paste, and there it is, and then you just put it in there yourself or whatever. Just showing you shortcuts on how to do it. So Option Alt is the duplicate, Shift key constrains, and then you just drag down, and then it's just much easier. You don't have to be thinking twice when you let go. It's in the right spot. I'm going to Command plus to see if it's in the right spot, and I'm going to see that on the edges I got the right spot, that I went a little bit too long on the bottom. So I'm going to grab this little edge and just drag it a teensy bit in so that I don't have it. Sometimes I might have to just move it in with my arrow keys one little tiny bit so that, whoops, so that it's touching that edge. Now here I have an extra guide that I hadn't told you about, so I'm going to get rid of it because you guys didn't use that guide yet. So I'm going to just not have it. We're going to use guides later, but you don't have one yet. So now I have that box up there and this box down here, which isn't what we have there, right? But it's a beginning of how to make a, another one of those shapes. Give me a yes when you got that duplicate and you saw how doing the shortcuts, it forced itself into with a shift key, how it constrained and how easy it was. If that, and that's really the learning. Other than that, it's just another box that we could have created from scratch. Now, over here, what we have is a couple of different sizes, and we don't really know what these word sizes are going to be, so we can't recreate the bottom ones yet, but maybe we can do one more. We can make this one be a little bit shorter because we know it's going to be, I don't know, somewhere around there. And then we can grab this one and again, Option Shift and drag one up here and then make it skinnier. And then that'll be our top one. That's going to end up being black. Now, black is a color that I already have. So I can click on this and make it black. So that's a good one to make black already. And then we're going to begin to work on colors and guess at the rest. But I also need to put in a photo in here. So for now, let's don't forget to Command or Control S. So we have this box, which later we will divide into more, and this box, but we're missing what's going to contain our photo. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a frame that's ready to drop in the photo when we're ready for the photo. Or we can create a frame and drop in the photo right now. Either way, let's just show you how to set it up for a template. And for that, instead of bringing in the photo right now, which is what we've done in the past, we'll just bring in the frame, and that's all we're going to do. So we're going to go to the left, pick up our rectangular frame, the one that has the X now, not the rectangle box, but the X for the rectangle frame. And we're going to go over here and we're going to do our best to match it, and later we can move it to the bleed over here on the left. Okay, so we're going to start by having it start on the bleed. And we have that white little line that we can't see there, but we can see over here that it should avoid. Maybe we don't need to avoid it because it's going to be hard to get it exactly right. Maybe we make it a little bit bigger, but then we put it underneath in the layers. So I'm going to start the center of my thing. I'm actually going to start over the red box, and I can start even bigger, but I'm going to start right here, right where the red finishes, to make sure that it's in the right spot. So I'm clicking and dragging and see how it's, I'm going to line it and I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to drop it again at the end of this red bleed, but I'm going to drop it down here where the black spot begins. So I'm going over that white stroke. So when I let go, my frame is going from bleed to bleed. It's going from bleed to bleed, but it's over both of the white lines. And now I'm going to have to start looking at my layers to see how I position that, because I want that to be under my colored boxes. So for now, if you got the frame in the right place, and if not, we can keep adjusting it because there's nothing in it yet. So you can just go to your selection tool again. So leave the make frame tool, go back to your selection tool. And if you left it too long or too little, you can just grab it with the selection tool and, drag it up or down a bit until you get it into the right spot, because there's nothing in it. So there's nothing you're going to change or mess up with. It's all good, right? You can still make it any size you want. And we want to make it hit like it's sitting over the white stroke. But since there's nothing in it, you can't tell. If you want to make sure, even if later we're going to empty it out, you can just give it a color. Give it like an obnoxious color, like green or blue or something. I'm going to go with pink, no, yellow. There we go. so that we can make sure that our box is sitting over. See, like over here in the bottom, I'm sitting over the white, and over here, I didn't make it sit over the white. So I'm gonna have to make it be bigger. So it's sitting over the white. Now, why do I care about that? Because now when I put this under those boxes, then I know for sure that I'm not gonna have any little edge. It's like giving a little tiny mini bleed. It's like 1 millimeter of stuff. And so this is the place that my photo is gonna land on. So once I've made that box, and over here, I had played around with the edges when I was telling you how to play around.
Did
So over
you, I'm sorry, did you change the layers order?
Not yet, not yet. We're gonna go do that. I haven't shown the layers in InDesign yet, so I'm gonna show it. So now the sides are snapping to the bleed, okay, which is a bit smaller than those because over here we had left the white stroke outside. So it's snapping to the bleed, it's snapping to the bleed. And over here, I made it go over the stroke. So now what we have to do is put this underneath the other boxes. So over here on the left, on this little column, right, here's where we had the links. We don't have any links in here yet. Well, that where we kind of put that in there, but we don't have the links in here yet. So we can head over to the layers. It's right above the links. And it just says layer 1. Yeah, because all of this is happening in the same layer. Just like in Illustrator, as opposed to Photoshop, those of you who are accustomed to Photoshop, this is a very different application. In vector programs, it's all happening in one layer. I'm going to open this tiny little arrow there, and there's all the elements that I've been creating. Now, I haven't been naming my elements, and that would have been good. So let me zoom down a little bit, and let's start figuring out what these things are. First of all, turn this eyeball on and off. There it is. That rectangle is the one that's going to hold my photo, right? You see that when I turn the eyeball on and off, it's that yellow one. So this is the one that needs to go underneath, but let's just call it something. I'm going to double click to change its name. Actually, it doesn't have anything in it, so I can't really change its name. So for now, I'm going to just drag it down. Boom. I dragged it down. So now if I turn this eyeball on and off, it's at the bottom. What that means is that now I should be able to see that white border and that it fits underneath. Now notice that if I want to see with any simplicity what's happening, I should at this point hit the W. It's like, phew. Okay, now yellow doesn't let me see the white line too well, so let me go with like, I don't know, blue instead. There we go. So now we can really see that I left the white line and the white line above. Does that make sense? With yellow, you couldn't tell. So this is that box. And underneath it has, so this is the top red box. This is that bottom red box. And this is black box. Once you have something like this, and then this is that image that we brought on the side that we're copying from. Once this is working for you, when I hit the W, it's really hard to see what's happening, what's not happening. Hit the W and look at it and go, okay, yeah, this is beginning to look like the design. When you hit the W again, now you see all of the placeholders, the guides, the lines, the margins, just about everything that makes it hard to see the design. And that's why I hit the W all the time, right? I'm hitting the W all the time to see how it's going. Hit the save, and now let me clear your answers. And when you got something like this, and you've modified your layers so that your photo is underneath, and if it's all fitting and it all makes sense and you haven't have any questions, give me a yes. If you have any questions, this is a good time to ask your questions.
Deanna, I missed the which image did you bring in?
The only image that I brought in right now is
Oh, okay. Got it.
Sample for us to check in on, but I haven't brought the actual image
I-
in yet.
I didn't follow the layers. What did you move in there?
Okay, so this top one here used to be this blue one, right? The top one.
Okay.
It was at the top. And thus I couldn't see the white lines of what was underneath it. Because I purposely extended it over. I did that on purpose. I made it go over the line when I put it in there, just so that I'd have a little mini overlap. But actually, it needs to be a 10 to the bigger, so it can be an overlap. So now I grabbed that box up here. I just go up to that rectangle and I dragged it down. Okay. Now I'm going to click one more time on this and call this one, if this were a website, we would call it the hero image, like the big image. This is the front cover image. So let's call it photo, cover photo or something like that. I don't really. Later, if we bring it in on its own, it would come in with the file name. Right now, we can just call it cover photos if you want to know what it is. Then when you turn this one eyeball on and off, you can click on this one and click one more time on it, and it gets like brightly lit, and you can just call it top red box. Just makes it easier later. The bottom red box, we're going to change so much, so I'm not going to call that anything, but the black one, I'm going to call it black box. The bottom one is going to be many boxes later, so I'm just going to have that one be rectangle. All right. Are we all good? Paula, did that make sense now? Are you okay?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So now, before we go much further with adding more elements, I want to show you a couple of things. But first of all, I showed you last week in the document that we were working with how to import an image, how to modify it, how to move it around, how to use the fit in screen. So let's go ahead for a second to our second page here, so we can just practice a couple of things more that I wanted to show you. And by the way, how about we make a little screenshot of this with the layers link open? Okay, just so we can see how this is going. So capture your layers. And let me do a refresh because I don't see the rest of you having your posts. There we go. Now I see a bunch of red boxes. Okay. I'm gonna capture that screenshot. Front cover, main layout with we adjusted the layer stack positioning to move the blue box for the photo under the text boxes. All boxes cover the bleed, or go all the way out to the bleed, or whatever you want to say. Okay. All right. Give me, I guess you already gave me a yes, so I'm going to continue. All right. So, oh, second page. Let's drag over the second page or something. Let me just show you so many ways to go to the second page. Here I was just dragging myself over, holding the space bar and dragging myself over or scrolling around. But remember that I can also go over here to pages. Whoa. Did my design disappear? Go over here to the pages. Wow. When I click on the link, the whole thing is disappearing. How funny. Go to the Pages app, and I can just double click on page 2, and it takes me still to page 2. Double click on page 4, double click on page 3. It's hard to tell, there's nothing on them. Double click on page 2. Let's go back to page 1. Okay. Another way is to go down here on the bottom where I see these numbers and click on that and say I want to go to page 2. So that also takes me to page 2. Can also go ahead and go page 3, page 4 with this little arrow, kind of navigate up and down. Now with 4 pages, Doesn't make much sense. I can just click my space bar and move up and down because we're so close up. But what if you have a 45-page book, right? Or 55 or 200-page book? So this becomes really useful to just click and drag your way to page 30 or something like that. I'm gonna go to page 2. Okay. How are you doing, Paula? Is all good? Howard, Patty, you're all good? Okay. So on page 2, let's go ahead and there's one more thing I didn't show you yet about bringing in photos, and I want to do that before we bring in the main photo for that. Let's do a Command or Control D or File Place. And we're going to take it to our class files, which I still have in the same spot. And I have this cute little silly kitty picture. And I'm going to bring in the silly kitty because, you know, why not have some fun while we're at it? And here we go. Here's my silly kitty picture. Now, you guys remember that if I just click, what's going to happen? I'm going to go ahead and make this really tiny. If I were to just click, the entire photo, its entire size of it will appear. And it's so big, it doesn't even fit. It's like, look how far out it's going. It's humongous, right? So I'm going to Command Z. And if I wanted to have an idea of how big that picture would be before I brought it in, remember I told you I would teach you how to learn. Let's go to Bridge. And here's my silly kitty. And my silly kitty here is telling me that this image is 3,267 pixels wide by 4,900 tall. It's set at 72 ppi. So this image, when I look down at the dimensions in inches, it's telling me that it's 45 inches by 68 inches big. And that's what's happening in my document. When I just simply click, it's dropping, and that's the size it's bringing. In fact, that image, if I look over here to the properties panel, it's coming in as 45 inches by 68 inches big, which is humongous. This is an 8x8 document. You see, that's what happened when I clicked. It's coming in at 72 ppi, and that's the size it has at 72 ppi. Now, is that a workable ppi for printing? So Peggy's
Probably
going
not.
no. By the rest of you guys by now should have read your handouts. Remember that this article is the one that I asked you to read for today. And so the answer from everyone should be, Peggy's answer should be 72 ppi is no good for printing. I need 300 ppi for printing. We're going to go into Photoshop and talk more about that. But right now, since that's the photo I brought. Okay, in Bridge, that's the photo I have. I'm in Bridge. I don't have that photo in any other version. I have it in 72 ppi. So that's the photo I'm bringing in. So let's go ahead and deal with it by, instead of simply clicking, we're going to click and drag. And we're going to click and drag until it's about whatever, a certain size. And here's the photo that we have. So let's do that again. You click and drag, and you can make it really tiny. Command Control Z, click and drag and make it much bigger. Command Control Z, click and drag and make it teensy weensy. Either way, now I'm going to go back to clean and dragging it, making it more like about as big as the page. And then I'm going to zoom into it, and now we're going to talk a little bit about that image. So here I brought this image in that was 72 ppi, 45 or whatever crazy amounts of inches big. How can I tell what's happening to it now? If I go to the links page, so let's go to the links panel, sorry, not links page. Let's click and drag and make this bigger. So this is my links panel, and when you first get to the links panel, it's pretty tiny, it doesn't have much detail. So in the links panel, I'm going to go and grab the bottom and make it big, because this information that's here is similar to the information that I had in Bridge, right? And over here, if I maybe make this, I have my two images that are the two little screen shots that you might or not have brought in from these guys, right? So that's what those links are. But now I brought the silly kitty. It's on page 2. See that? These two are on the pasteboard. Remember I told you that gray area, it's called the pasteboard. So that's what PB, it's not PB&J, it's not peanut butter, it's pasteboard. But number 2 over here is page 2. I have my silly kitty. And when I look down here, name silly kitty, it's a JPEG, color space, 2 megabytes, profile, actual PPI 72. That's what we read in Bridge, right? Actual PPI 72. Effective PPI 720. Now, what was this PPI this thing needs to be to print correctly? What's the number?
300.
Yeah, 300. So surprisingly enough, it's 720. You guys, wherever number you dropped it at is whatever you dropped it at. And I'm going to Command Z and show it to you. If it's tiny like that, then it's, effective PPI is 2400. If I make it as big as that, the effective PPI is 327. Okay. So the effective PPI keeps changing depending on how big I make it, even though the actual PPI is still at 72. So when I make it about yay big, it turned out to be near to 720, which is interesting because it feels like it has to do with 72. It's just coincidence. So is this enough for it to print correctly, 720? Yeah, in fact, it's too much. Now, is too much a problem? No, it isn't, and yes, it is, meaning it's not a problem if this is the one image that we're going to have, 1 or 2 images, that's fine. But if I have a coffee table book or something with, 100 images and each one is humongous like this, then we're carrying around a ton of information that we don't need. So in Photoshop, we can resize this to the correct size, 300 PPI. So we're going to work with that in Photoshop. But here, it's fine. As long as it's bigger than 300, we're good. Okay, so we can't modify the pixels in InDesign. We're going to modify these pixels to make it be, let's say, right sized for the size that we need, then we need to do that in Photoshop. Okay, here we just got what we got.
Diana, a question. So effective PPI is like how much big you can make?
No, that would be the inches when you say big or small. Effective PPI
Sorry.
is how
The
many,
result.
okay, so let me
Like what's the
backtrack on
the
PPI. I haven't
actual and
really,
the effective?
hold on. PPI means pixels per inch. So if my amount of pixels that I have is 3,267, let's say width right there. The width of this image is 3,000, let's call it 3,000 pixels. It's 3,250 or whatever, 3,000 and a quarter. So let's say that we have 3,000 pixels here on the width. If we divide that by 72, it gave us like, if I try to put 72 of those pixels in each inch, I get like 45 inches. That was that humongous one that we did before. If instead I decide, no, I want to divide this by only, so let's see how many inches we have here. This is a 4.5 inch wide image. And you can see over here in the properties, 4.5. So if I get 3,250 divided into only 4.5 inches, that means that each inch is getting 720 pixels. So all those 3,000 pixels are still there, but I'm packing 1 inch, here's 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, right? So in 1 inch, I have 720 pixels in there, 720 pixels in there, 720 pixels in there, 700 pixels in there, and the last half inch had probably like half of that, 350 pixels. Does that make sense? So that's how many pixels are fitting in 1 inch of this photo. And since this photo, I made it to be about 4.5 inches wide, I'm just looking at one number, that's how many pixels I'm packing in each one of those inches. Does that make a bit more sense? Nope. Yes, maybe? Okay.
No.
I'm just kind of basing this conversation based on what you've read in the handout, and I'm not really explaining it from scratch. So let's just hang in there a minute for that. I'm going to go back to the PPI conversation. Here, I'm just trying to be more of a hands-on in InDesign. So just for now, trust me, this thing, as long as it says 300 or more, we're good for printing. And then later I'll explain the whole pixels and inches things a little bit more clearly with an example just about that, okay? I'm going to do that in Photoshop because in InDesign, I can't alter this, so I can't show it to you. I'm going to do that in Photoshop. For now, as long as this effective PPI is bigger than 300, we're good. Just go with that one. So let's continue with this example here, and then we'll deal with that. So here's the thing. I have a silly kitty inside of the frame that is, remember last week we talked about, there's a frame, that's one thing, and the content that goes inside of it, that's another thing. And last week, I showed you that if you grab with your selection tool, you grab this frame and try to make the frame bigger or smaller, it doesn't affect the content, other than it affects it in the sense that if the frame gets smaller, you see less of the content, and the frame gets bigger, then there's like emptiness because there's nothing there in the content, right? But other than that, the frame is independent of the content. Yeah? Now, what I didn't get to show you, so that's what I showed you last week. And then what I didn't get to show you is how to work with that content independently from the frame. So if my frame is stuck there, and I'm going to show you the frame better by giving it a stroke. Let me give it a big fat stroke so you can really see that frame better. There. Now you can really see that that's the edges of my frame. Because when I move that over, the stroke comes with the frame. It's not part of the content. You see that? So now that shows you the frame a little bit better just for our sample's sake. Okay. So now if this frame happens to coincide, if the frame happens to coincide with my content, all is good. What if, and I've been telling you to avoid that circle. Let's not avoid it anymore. What is that circle? I don't like that circle. It appeared by now many years ago, but I still never got accustomed to it. But that circle is called a content grabber. Content grabber. So if I put my mouse in here, now I am moving the content inside of that frame. See how the frame is staying in place and my content is moving around? I am the one who is dragging the content outside of that frame. Let me hit the W key so we don't have so many things in the way, so that you can really focus on just the content in the frame. Can you see how I'm moving the content around independent of the frame? If that's working for you and it's making sense, give me a yes.
I'm not able to pull the image into my InDesign.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen. See how can I help you set it up? I'm noticing that my alarm hasn't rung yet and that it's probably past time to give you guys a break, right? Don't I have my alarm set up for this? I thought I had. So around 6 or so, we should have had an alarm, 6:30. I guess I don't. Give me a second. Class starts at 5. Ends at 8. It's around 6:30-ish. I should have had a break, so I'm just going to set that alarm, which I thought I had set up. I guess I don't. So I'm going to call this one Monday and Wednesday. Oh, I think I have it for AM. Okay, so now it's going to be late, but next time it'll be on time. All right. Sorry, Odessa, I was distracted looking at my alarms. Oh, let me see your screen.
Aren't I shared?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
Okay.
I just had to, I was looking at my phone for the alarm and I wasn't looking at yours. Okay, so you made a frame without an image. So go ahead and hit the delete key to get rid of this one. Hit the delete key because it's selected. So if you hit the delete key, it should disappear.
Mhm.
Because, are you hitting the delete key
Yes.
and nothing's disappearing?
No. I'm having a lot of trouble with the
Mm,
VDI tonight for some reason.
sometimes VDI is great and sometimes it's not.
It's
Okay.
not great.
I
Okay.
wanted you to bring it in without the text frame, but since, are you frozen perchance? Can you go and click on something else? Can you like open the another tool? Okay, so you're not frozen. Okay. Well, then if that frame is selected and it's not deleting itself, then let's use it to bring in something. It's just that it seems like you have two, and that's why I wanted, yeah, you have
Mhm.
two. That's what's happening. That's why I wanted you to move one. Okay, hit the delete key. Can we get rid of one?
Yep.
Good. Now select the other one. You need to click, yeah. Now, in this case, I wanted you to bring in not with an empty frame yet, so hit the delete key again to get rid of that one. And now go and say file place.
Oh, I'm not going to place. That's my problem.
Okay, and then go and find the photos. Yeah. And then go bring in the silly kitty. Cool. Huh. Oh, go ahead and say okay. Did you sign out and sign in of your Google Drive when you left last time and sign in again today when you came in? Because it's
Yes.
possible that you didn't
No, I signed in.
to the Google Drive. Had you
Mhm, because
exited?
I'm on Padlet too.
Yeah. So when you leave today, you need to sign out of your Google Drive and then you need to sign in your Google Drive each
Okay.
time. That's Chrome. That's not Google Drive.
Okay.
Otherwise, the images are appearing as corrupted and you won't be able to bring any in
Okay.
at all. So let me just walk you. Click over here to see if you even have it. I need my tool to show
I
you.
can see it in Bridge.
It doesn't matter if you can see it.
Okay.
Go over here to this little arrow. Let me see. It's about refreshing your Google Drive. No, you don't have. Okay, so you clicked on something else, which I didn't need, so that's okay. Click again and see if you can get rid of that. Okay, so there's no Google Drive here, so your Google Drive isn't connected right now. So go over.
Uh-huh. Go over where? I can't hear you anymore, Diane. Diana.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Now go over here to where it says type here to search, over on this side of the screen, way over here.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I think that was her personal computer, Diana, that we checked on,
Oh,
and not the
you're right.
VDI.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Click in here. Thank you for keeping me straight. I forget that you've got your two. Here, go to this little arrow right here. I'm sorry, Odessa. Thanks,
That's
Patty, for
okay.
keeping me straight on that one. Click on this little triangle and go over here to your Google Drive. Yes, you do have it open. Okay. Let's disconnect and connect again. So go over here to this right there and say preferences. Don't quit, just say preferences. And then say no thanks. Now go back over here. And we're going to disconnect the account. Disconnect the account. Okay. And then say disconnect again. Okay. So now we can quit. There we go. It quit itself. Okay. So now it's going to ask you to connect. All right. So now say get started. And sign in. And this is the one thing you need to do each time. When you leave, you need to disconnect the account. And when you sign in, you need to connect the account again. Okay, say next. And now sign in again. Good. All right, so now you can close this window. And close that one. Okay, so now let's hope. And now this one keeps popping in to ask you to do more. You don't need it. Keep saying no. Just say, just quit that. Each time you connected, it wants you to, yeah. Okay, so now let's see if it's refreshed. Sometimes online when you don't close the apps, it doesn't refresh, but let's hope it did. Say file place. And hopefully this time over here to the digital. Silly kitty. Okay, let's see, file open.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, so now click and drag and drop it about yay size. There we go. Cool.
Okay, thank
And
you.
now this is where we were moving the frame in and out and making a change. And then we went in and grabbed that grabber and moved content. Okay. So
Okay,
anyone who's going to be on VDI or who is on VDI, remember you need to sign out of Google Drive when you leave VDI and then sign into it, which is what we just did. Now what we just did is we signed out and in at the same time. But when you leave VDI, sign out. When you come in, sign in again. That has to be a fresh sign in each time. Otherwise, the files say that they're corrupted, which they're not. But the connection has to be refreshed. Okay.
okay.
Thank you. Guys, I wanted to show you a little bit more, but it is way past break time. I apologize for that. So let's take a break since this is a natural stopping point. And let me see, it's 7:08, so 15 minutes. What time would that be back at? 7 plus 10 would be 18. 20, 23. So let's be back at 7:23 p.m. Yeah, that's about 15 minutes. Okay, see you guys in a little.
All right, can you hear me? All right,
Unclear.
hopefully the microphone makes it till the end of class. And I did have my alarm, and in fact, my alarm rang. I thought I had set it up, but I had set it up for some crazy reason at 7:10, which is way past the middle of the class. So I don't know what was happening when I set that alarm. But here we are. Ready to continue. Clear your answers, and if you are there and I see you, that's good. If you turned on your videos normally, please turn them on. And if you are there but I don't see you, then give me a yes, so I'll know that you are round and warm-bodied, so to say, that you're there. All right, I had a minor incident where I dropped. Yeah, never mind. I spent my break picking up. I spilled some stuff, fortunately outside, but I was washing my hands and my phone and my keys and everything fell into the sink. They were propped precariously into the big chunk of water, and I've been just drying all the. I happen to have like my ID and things in the back of my phone. It has like a little wallet, all soaked. Anyway, that was my break. So how are we doing on any questions before we keep going, before we start again? Anything to ask? Nope. All good. Let me just say I'm looking at the Padlet, and like Odessa, it says layers for cover page, but in the screenshot, and this isn't, it's fine, you don't need to redo this, but in the future, like a screenshot is only the cover page, but you don't have like the layers palette. So remember that for me to see whether I have anything to suggest, sharing, doing the screenshots that shows me the work, so to say, which is the layers, then that helps me tell you what's happening. So if I'm seeing this over here and I'm looking at this, I'm seeing her stroke, whatever. On another one, I'm seeing the layers or the links, okay, over here. But if all I'm seeing is the box, then yeah, that's looking good, but it's not giving me, you know, the layers. So make the screenshots a little bit bigger so that I can see the stuff that's happening over here. All right. All right. So back to InDesign. All right. So here we have our good old little silly kitty that we were moving inside and out with these grabber. Now let's pop him here for a minute or just watch for a minute. When I move this around with the grabber, do you see that there's like a brown, not even red, but like a brown box around the content? And if you remember, the frame itself is like a blue one. I happen to put a black stroke over it, but it's blue versus, so the contents bounding box, so to say, the frame is blue, and the grabber allows me to grab the content. Now for eons, instead of the grabber, what did we use to grab the content? It's the white arrow tool, the one that's right underneath the black arrow tool, the direct selection tool. So those of you who've taken my Illustrator classes know that the black selection tool and the direct selection tool play two very different roles in Illustrator, but it's kind of similar. The top one gives you the bounding box that holds the whole object, and then this one lets you go inside and modify all of the paths and layers to modify the Illustrator object. Well, here we go. The outside holds the frame, the black arrow tool, and the white arrow tool. So this was called the selection tool, and this is called the direct selection tool. And when I move that one over, all I'm doing is I'm grabbing only the inside. It's the equivalent to the grabber. You see that? It moves the inside. Now, the reason I prefer this is because this is how it's been for hundreds of years. Has it been designed, had been here for hundreds of years, but you know, us traditionalists. So I'm accustomed to the white selection tool, and there's no mix up versus, as far as I'm concerned, when you're just using the black selection tool to select a frame, then you need to be very careful to, if you want to move the frame around, to touch anything except for that circle. And then when you do touch the circle, be aware that what you're doing is you're moving the inside. There's nothing wrong with the grabber, just be aware
that when your mouse turns into a hand, now you're moving the inside and not the frame. And sometimes to get rid of that, you have to click away, click in again, and then you're back to moving the entire thing, okay? Because you're basically in the black arrow tool. So you just need to be aware which tool you are using. When you're in that mode or in this mode, it's different. Okay, so that said, sometimes we just want to change the content and not the frame. If that were to happen, say that I were to grab the content from the grabber and move it over here. What if I wanted to make the content bigger or smaller independent from the frame? I don't really see many reasons to do that, but if you were to do that, you could, because this is its own box. And I could go ahead and grab it from the corner and move it and whatever, but then I'm making a huge mess of my image again because I'm moving it disproportionately, right? So anyway, I'm going to undo that, Command Z, and I'm going to just bring this guy back to the center and have it snap so that there's 2 in 1. Now, the reason I said that is because not all of our images are going to be the exact size. So if in here we wanted to put the silly kitty, it wouldn't work too well, right? Because of the proportion. Unless maybe it would work if I just use this portion of the silly kitty, right? Or something like that. But we definitely wouldn't be able to do that. So then we would have to be using any of those things that we fit. So let's select this frame now. Now this is the frame that we said was going to have a photo. And let's put a photo in there. So let's go ahead and say file place. So in this case, I had you guys bring it in by placing, and we didn't have a frame for it to go into. But this time we do have a frame, and that frame can't change size because this is a design that's very kind of templated. It's very strict, and I can't just go around making different shapes for the other stuff. Now, I haven't really put the text in there, so it's possible that I'm going to make this smaller or bigger, but just for the sake of bringing something in right now, let's bring in a photo, one that maybe we can make smaller or bigger. So we select the frame first. And since we already have a pre-selected frame, we had made a frame here, it happens to be blue, but we had put in a frame. When I say Control or Command D, this time it'll pop straight in there, okay? So when I go get it, do you guys want to get the red barn or do you want to get the autumn photo again? I don't know, the red barn might look good because, red barn, I don't know. Nah, the autumn, I really like that autumn fields. Plus we've worked with it before. I'm selecting the one that says no car, which I guess is the PSD that we've already worked with. Now, some of you guys who haven't worked with this yet, if you're new, well, no, Monica, you aren't actually working with it right now, but you don't have the PSD version. Well, you don't have anything right now anymore. So let's bring that one in. Let's say open. And it came in at what size? Is it the right size? Do we see the whole image? You guys the reason I chose this one is you all know this photo now. And something's wrong, right? It came in as if I had just kind of clicked, meaning it came in, and look over here at the links, at actual PPI 72, effective PPI 72. It came in full size. Now this has many less pixels than before. It only has 1500 by 10 by 1000 pixels, but it came in at full size. So now I'm going to have to use some of these tools that we used last week to see how I can make it work. So let's try one by one, and let's Command Z to get out of the way. If I say fit frame proportionally, I'm thinking this is pretty similar to the whole picture, but there's something missing, at least in my screen, for me to see whether it's working or not. What do I need to do to see if it's working with the bleed? Can I tell if the bleed is filled?
Zoom in.
No, not yet. Can I tell if the bleed is filled?
W.
The W, because I'm not able to see outside to see whether the photo fit into the bleed or not. So I hit the W, and now I can look at the bleed and go, oh yeah, the bleed is filled there, the bleed is filled there. And it looks like that was a pretty good proportional to our image, because from what I remember of the image, that's most of it. But just in case, let's do Command Z, and let's try the next one. Well, that one is kind of weird because it always messes things up. So there we go. I guess now it's showing me it wasn't proportional, but I'm going to not do the second one because that always messes them. I'm going to Command Z. And I'm going to do the third one, which is I'm going to fit the content to the frame. And it looks like it works. So I think the first one's going to work for me. Fill the frame proportionally. So yes, we've lost a teensy little bit on the top and bottom, but that actually fits really well. Let me hit the W to see if that's going to cut it well. That fits really well. I like it. Now that image is called Autumn with No Car. I don't know about you guys, but I see a car there, right? And that's because when we were playing around with this image back and forth, I left the layer where I covered the car turned off. So if I were to want this one to be Autumn with No Car, I would have to go and edit with original, right? Click on this little thing to edit original. There it is. It opened up in Photoshop. And here was my layer where I covered the car. I'm going to turn it on. The car is gone. I'm going to just call this one No Car. So let me be clear about it. So now I'm going to save. I saved, and I don't know if you have to do this or not, but just reminding you of this portion of it. Go back to InDesign. And now, oh, remember how sometimes it updates on its own? There it is. It updated. No car. It didn't even show me that it had to be updated. The car just disappeared. You know how sometimes some people said the other day, well, it disappears and sometimes you need to update it and some you don't. Well, this time, since I did the edit original, I did it internally. It just knew to update. All right. Now, I want to say that if this is the brochure that opens this way, and if reality didn't matter too much, it might be better to have this image flipped in the other direction for some reason, because this takes you away and you want to have it go in. Anyway, no, it doesn't matter. Details. But for now, I'm gonna, I don't care. But I might want to flip it. But anyway, here we go. That image is there. Now, I had to bring an image because since we're not imitating this completely, we might want to be able to figure out a different color scheme than what we're doing. You might want to bring a different photo in there. We're just kind of getting an idea of how to create a structure, how to make it work. But I'm not like tied or married to the fact that it has to be the right colors. But for sure, I don't want this bright red, blind your eye color. So I'm going to select that color, and we're going to have to create some new colors here. So let's find out how to create some colors in InDesign. First of all, if I go back to, whoops. Wow, this is weird. Sometimes it just shifts to a different program when I click on fill. If I go over here, I'll see that there's no other colors. There are, in fact, other choices and other colors, but right now I don't even have like my color palette open. The only way to make other colors right now within this spectrum of what we have, there's other tools, but notice at the top, it's showing me that this is selected, the swatches. If I click on this one here, it's giving me a palette, so to say. And it's showing me versions of this color, but all it's going to do is modify that existing color within lightness or darkness saturation, but that doesn't really give me a new color. So I'm going to Command Z because I really don't want to do that. Then if I go to the next one, it's given me the frame edges, which I don't want to do that either. This is the stroke, and so it's giving me a white stroke, and it's like, no, black to white. I don't want that either. So if I need a new color in here, where do I go? Down here at the bottom, I don't have any other swatches yet. This is a place where you would go to other swatches, but the swatches are being shown. It's all swatches. If I go to show color swatches, it's showing me what it has to show. There's no other color swatches, so color groups. There's no group, so it can't show me anything. So there's nothing here yet. As opposed to other places, it gives you the minimum amount, and anything else that you want, you have to make. So let's go make some colors. I'm going to click away from this for a minute. So that's where I was. I'm going to click away either by clicking on this again or by clicking out here in some neutral area to click that away. And let's two places. The first place that we have available always, and then we'll go to another palette, is the color picker right here on the left side. Now this color picker is in all three of my, and it's in Illustrator and InDesign and Photoshop. The color picker is exactly the same color picker everywhere. And the only difference is that in Photoshop it has foreground and background color, but in Illustrator and InDesign it's like this. The foreground is the fill and the background is a stroke. So I'm going to click on that little box, double click on that box, and up comes the color picker. Now finally I'm seeing some other colors that I wasn't seeing before. Okay, so it's still kind of restricted. I don't see blues and greens, do you? If I click over here, I have to scroll up and down this whole column, so to say, to find the spectrum of colors that are possible. Okay, so say that I wanted this to be a blue or a green, I would have to go here, even though I don't see it, I would have to kind of scroll up and down on this one until I find something that's near what I want. Now, say that I want a blue. All right, I click over here. And then I can choose it to be a lighter or a darker or a greener or whatever blue. So choose a color. It doesn't matter. We're not going to be tied to this color. So choose anything just to have a color. Okay. And then we're going to say, okay. We're not tied to this color, so I don't care what color you chose right now. When you select that color, if I later go and change it into some other color, if I go over here, you'll see how it's not memorialized anywhere as a color. If I go and double click on that again and then turn it into a whatever, a yellow, a light pink, and I say okay, and I go over here, it's still not memorialized. In fact, if I wanted to go back to that kind of teal that I had, I don't have it. So once you choose a color that you want with a color picker, so this time let's choose a color that we want. And we can choose a color picker what we want, as I said, by going in and out of this and choosing a color randomly, or there's a nice little tool here. I'm going to cancel for a minute. If I use the eyedropper tool that I have here kind of above those boxes, then I might want to pick one of these colors that are in the image itself, like a green that's in the image and not any old green, right? Not any old yellow, right? And when I want to choose a different one, I'd have to go and click on that again to get a different color. So maybe it's a color that'll match versus inventing my own green or inventing my own gray. Does that make sense? I might want to just choose something that's part of the image that I've chosen. And if this is the image that you're playing with, then maybe that's what you're going to do. So I'm going to go with this kind of ish color, goldish color. So everyone go to the eyedropper and choose something from this image. It doesn't need to be the gold. Okay? It doesn't matter what. Just choose a color from this dropper. And now we're going to have to save that color, make that color exist as opposed to losing it. So now open this panel where we see the fill. And at the bottom, you'll see a little plus sign. And we're going to click on that plus sign. And there we go. Now we have, so to say, memorialized, or created a swatch of that color. So that if I go away now, okay, I'm done with the eyedropper. I'm going to go click on my arrow again, sorry, and click on this next one. And if I wanted that one to be the same color, I don't have to guess because I go over here and now I can just choose that for that color. Does that make sense? Now maybe this one, instead of seeing black, I don't want it to be black, but I want it to be one of these dark greens. So I can go to my eyedropper and go choose one of these dark greens that are over here that I might want to fit better. And I hate that I have to re-click on it. That's bizarre. Each time. I don't remember having to re-click on it. There, now I have like a very deep, deep green color. And I'm going to go over to the appearance panel fill, and I'm going to make this one also exist as a deep green. Now notice that the names, the files don't have names. It just is RGB, which means that when this gets viewed on screen, RGB is a screen color screen profile. Red 50, green 51, blue 37. What it's telling me is that I need to combine that much of each one of those colors to see that. Now, let's go back to the color picker for a second, which is now set on that green. And it's in the RGB color space. Now, had we paid attention when we created this file, and we said file, new document, it told us that it was in the RGB color space, but I hadn't pointed that out to you. Now this confirms it. Now, was everyone, you know what? Let's go ahead and one thing, because I want this to be, let's get the color picker on, and let's get this, well, maybe this is more important than the color picker right now. I want you guys to see the colors and the saved colors that we just made. So I'm going to do a screenshot of that. And I'm going to grab that up there, just really quickly put that in the Padlet. Colors that we made. Made 2 new color swatches by picking them from the image with the eyedropper and then clicking on the plus sign in the appearance panel, fill color or color fill colors. That way, and that's just one of the ways in which we created the colors. There's many other ways to create the colors, but there we go. That kind of worked for us right now. Now, what if I don't like those colors? What if I want to change them? So say that this green seems a bit too dark. As long as I'm still selecting that color, right? I can click over here and double click on this green. And when it opens up, what if I wanted it to be a bit more greenish or a bit greenish or more reddish or more bluish? It's showing me here the changes, but not there because I don't have the preview turned on, but I want to make sure everyone's following with me. So grab one of the colors that you chose. I happen to have chosen this green. I could have done it to any of the colors. And I want to modify it. So I'm going to double click on the color right here. Double click. And this thing opens up. And now it's in RGB color mode, red, green, and blue. This is the sample of the color. If I want to make it more or less green over here, I can modify it. And that's giving me a different green, which isn't from my image though. So I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, but I'm just saying this is a way to modify your colors. But I'm not seeing those colors because I don't have the preview turned on. So if I were to do preview, then I would be seeing it down here. You see that? So maybe I decide that I want something that's a bit more orangey-ish or brownish or whatever, you know, you want to change it. So I'm going to change it to a different color over here. It's not as accurate, it's not as good, but I can use it. So say that I go with that color, right? Now, this is in the RGB mode. This is not going to work for us when we're printing. We're going to talk about that later. For us to see this color and how it's going to look when it's printed, we have to go to CMYK mode. And that is showing us cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, which are the 4 colors of inks. But right now, our entire process is happening in RGB. So I want to leave it in RGB, but I'm just showing you how there's other options. Right now, just modify whatever you chose a little bit. Just if you loved it, don't modify it, but showing you where you would modify it. I actually like the green I had before, but I'll stick with this one now. I'm going to say okay. Now, I'm just showing you why I hadn't called that one green and that one maybe gold or whatever. Because what if you change it and then now green looks like that? It's kind of weird. So sometimes it's better to not name a color green. I was going to show you how to color this and call it green. You can just select it and select it again and then just change the name of it and call it green, right? But it wasn't, now it's not a green anymore. So I'm glad I didn't, you know what I mean? So be careful. This is neutral, but when you know for sure those are the colors you want, you might want to call them burgundy or green or red or whatever you want. But for now, that's not a bad idea. Now these are all CMYK colors, as you can see up there. My new ones are RGB. We're going to talk in a bit more about colors, but I want to address other stuff first. So now I've got these colors going. How about before we continue with colors and stuff like that, we get some text in there. First of all, let's save. And I'd like to see what you guys are creating. Are you showing me anything here? Okay, I'm seeing a few colors. Okay, great. Thank you. Perfect. I'm seeing you guys choosing some colors, and you could have chosen a different photo. So you might have had a different set of colors. Back to InDesign. All right, so Paula was having issues with the internet. Are you not here? I think she didn't
I'm
make it back.
here.
Oh, you are back. Okay. All right, good.
No, I'm here. It's just like I'm without my camera on because I'm having a lot of internet issues,
Oh
and
yeah,
my
no,
husband
that's
was
fine.
trying.
Yeah, it's hard when your Zoom is lagging. Turning the camera off is a good
Yeah.
step.
Okay.
So I'm
But
going to clear your feedback and give me a yes if you're following, if everything is good. If you don't have any questions, we're going to keep going on this. You're all good. Oh my God, I suddenly had a shock. I looked at the clock on the wall, and basically class is over. And it's because they never switched the clock. I'm like, am I keeping you guys after class? No, we're fine. It's still early. It's just that with the time change, we're doing good. All right, so let's get some text in there first. Now, the text that we had in here was Career Skills Institute. You might want to still put Career Skills Institute, even though now this is not that, but whatever. Let's say it's I don't know. I think this is from what I remember when I took this picture, it's a French wine valley or whatever, but this wasn't going to look like a good wine brochure anyway, but you might want to call it that. But the thing is, my brain is dead right now as to what to call this. So I'm just still going to call this Career Skills Institute because I don't have if you come up with a better name, tell me what we should call this thing. It had a name. In fact, I think the image, no, I called it Autumn Wine Valley. Okay, I'm going to stop worrying about that. Let's go to the type tool. So I showed you a little bit how to create colors. There's more to colors, but that's what I'm showing you right now. Let's get some type in here. So here's the thing. Before, when I'd shown you the type tool, it had been, let me just show it to you here in the pasteboard. You had to click and drag to make a box, remember? And then you started writing inside of it. We did that only once. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. But now you have a box, and this box, when I click with my type tool and bring it in here, it wants to write inside of that box. It actually wants the text to be part of that box. And I would recommend not doing that. Let me just show you what I mean. See how instead of a box, with my type tool giving a little square, it has a circle. So when you do that and you click in there, it's trying, oh, and let me hit the W. Actually, the only time I can't hit the W is when I'm in the type tool. Let me go out of the type tool, hit the W, because I want to show you my shapes again. When I go to the type tool, right now, with nothing selected, it doesn't matter. As soon as I hover it over this place, it wants to fit the type into that place. So when I click, look at where it put the cursor, as if this was a text frame. And if I start writing, it's writing inside of that text frame. You see that? That won't give me independence in moving the text where I want it. So I can't make a type box that fits inside of that box. I need to make an independent type box. I'm going to undo that. So there's two things I can do to that. One of the things I can do is I can lock this down so that it's not available while I'm making another box on top of it. I could also just click and make a type box out here to write what I want to write and then place it on top. That would work too, but then I wouldn't know what size to make it. And just to show you the possibility of locking things down when you're kind of done with them. We're not done. We don't know if this is going to be longer, bigger, smaller. We're not know if we're done. But for now, let's go to layers and I'm going to show you how to lock something. So this is that top red box, which again, the danger of putting names, color names on something. I can click right there and lock it. I can also, this that used to be the black box, I can also lock that one. And then I had that bottom one, I can lock that one. I can even lock the photo for now. That's fine. One of the reasons I mentioned, and those of you guys who are in my Illustrator class, a lot of times asked me about layers and stuff like that in Illustrator. And I mentioned that in InDesign, I use layers for different elements. This is one of the reasons. I don't want to be locking everything up. What if I have 25 elements and I have to lock them all? So plan B, I don't lock them all. So now I'm going to unlock them. And I'm actually going to create a separate layer. And that's going to be the layer that's going to hold my type. So over here, I have layer 1. And I can double click on layer 1 and I can call this one, for example, I don't know, graphics or something like that, art. I tend to call it graphics, which is pretty generic, but. And now I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to call this one type. And this is an example of me using layers. And again, some of you guys don't know this, but if you're in my Illustrator class, there's all these questions of when in Illustrator to use layers. And I say, in Illustrator, I don't use layers. I tend to have everything in one layer and I use groups. But in InDesign, I like to separate my elements. And this is an example of elements. So I don't have to be locking things down because if I'm in this type mode and I select the type tool, I can just lock the graphics for a second instead of like individually locking all the pieces. I just lock the graphics, or I can even not lock the graphics. And sorry, I left it locked. And then I can just, here, let me move this out of the way a little bit. There we go. I want us to be able to see. So now I'm in my type layer, which has nothing in it. I go to my type tool, and now I'm going to make a box that goes from, and remember, this is the edge of the document, right? So I don't want any text in there. So I'm going to go into my margins and I'm going to go from margin to margin. And this is why I don't know yet if I have enough gold box or not. I'm just going to make a type box that goes from here to there and let go. So I'm inside of my margins. So, and now I'm going to write, I don't know, tour the wine valley. I don't know. What should we write here, guys? Does anyone have a better idea than me? Oh, someone wrote Golden Country color block. Okay, Golden Country. I like that. Color block. That's a brochure. Golden Country tour. Fall colors tour. Wine tasting tour. Golden Country wine. That was the name of the photo 10 minutes ago. Wine, golden country wine. Golden country wine. A combination of both of you guys. Okay, so I'm going to go uppercase, all uppercase right now. I'm going to give it a try. Golden Country Wine Valley or Golden Country Valley. Wine Valley. I don't know. That's too much. Whatever. Golden Country Wine Valley. I'll see. Normally, we don't have the pleasure or the leisure of being able to have an existing name. Normally, the place has a name that we need to live with and use, since we can invent one. Now, I wrote that in there, and it came in the good old Minion Pro regular 12 points, which is the default font. And I can see it right there in this contextual toolbar. I can also see it right here in my properties panel, Minion Pro regular 12 points, okay? I can also, if I look down here, if we had opened our characters panel, we'll discover that, oh, there it is again in the characters panel that we had put in here a while ago. So I'm seeing the same information in 3 places. Any of those is valid for us to change it from right now. But I don't want to change it from, in fact, any one of them right now, because if I were to say, so here it says Golden Country Vine Valley. What if I wanted to make it much bigger right now? And I click on 30 points. Did you see anything changing? No, because my text is not selected. So how can I work with this without having to select my text? Well, I'm going to move back to my selection tool. I'm done writing it. I go back to my selection tool. And by the way, for those of you who have never worked with layers before in this mode, notice that in the first layer, all my bounding box and everything was blue. I've created a new layer, and in this layer, all my bounding boxes are going to be red, and there it is. It's not that there's something weird going on. It's just that the bounding box in this layer is going to come out red, okay? Which is why that box is suddenly red now. So the colors change as you change layers. So now that I've got my layer selected, if I now go down here and make my choice, this thing to be 30 points, now it affected the whole box. You see that without me having to select the text? Now, why don't I like selecting the text is because when you select the text, and I went back to the type tool, and I'm going to select the text, it changes, it gets selected. So then if I try to choose a color or something for it, I can't see it well. And even if I make it now, say 30 points or something like that, it's still kind of highlighted and I can't really see the actual effect on the font. So that's why I prefer, there's nothing wrong with selecting the text, but I prefer selecting the box, the text frame, and now affecting the entire frame, right? So that I can see what's happening. And then I go, I like it, I don't like it, I prefer a different font, I don't, you know, whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Well, first of all, I'm going to change, I just wanted to see it better, but now I'm going to change it to a different font. So how do I choose a different font? I can either go over here, I can go over here. If I, of course, if I had opened the characters, I can go over here. Let's say that I'm going to try to use the contextual panel, which I haven't used yet with you guys. So let's say that I go to the contextual panel. I'm going to click over here and I get the entire set of, let me actually move it to where I can see my image. Let me just go over here instead, because with it there, it's covering my image. So back to selecting my shape. Okay, so now if I go over here, I can see my samples and I can see my text. And this is a live preview, meaning that as I scroll up and down and stop at something, I am seeing what it's going to look like over there. Okay. Now I'm going to click away for a second, not having changed it with anything. And I'm thinking that at least for the color that I chose, I think that black is not going to be a good color. So let me just show you, even if I did like the color, maybe the color you chose, black, works. But let me show you what happens if I select this box now and go to the fill. I click on the fill. Right now, it's saying that there's no color because I'm not selecting the text, I'm selecting the frame. And you're right, the frame is empty. See that? If I were to choose to color this, it wouldn't color the text, it would color the frame. Because right now, this is said apply to frame. So I'm going to go back to none. And what I need to do is I need to apply to text. So I had to change that to apply to text. And now, if I choose, for example, paper to make it white, it's making it white for the text and not for the frame. Does that make sense? Is everyone good with that? Give me a yes or a no or whatever. Questions?
Yeah, another question I have is how did you get the Marion Pro up into the board part as opposed to just being on the side? Excuse me.
I'm sorry, you asked me about the Minion Pro what?
Is it you called it a contextual box?
Yeah, this contextual type bar here.
Yeah. How do you get that over there?
What did you ask me about it though?
Like, where does that come from? I see the font over on
Yeah,
the
so
far
most
right
people
side.
have it in the bottom. I think at one point I showed it in a different program. I haven't shown it here yet. This is a bar that appeared in Adobe and all its programs probably 2 years ago. that it's supposed to be like the things that you most probably want and need depending on what you're selecting. So if I select this box right here, then it's, oh, it's locked, so it's not gonna have to unlock this. If I select this box, then maybe what I want to do is maybe I want to do text to image versus generative image. Maybe I want to link it to its document. If I select this box, maybe what I want to do is give it a generative fill. Right now, basically, it thinks of a lot of empty boxes, assume that you want to fill it with something. Select the text, it's giving me character. So it's contextual in that it changes to give me the top 3 choices of what I would probably want to do if I'm selecting that. If I don't want that, then I have to go in here to more stuff, right? But it's kind of a quick little,
And what if you don't see that box?
oh, then go up to window and turn it on down here. You might have,
Okay.
if I click on that again and see how it disappeared, back up to window and see how it had no check mark. I check it again and now it'll appear. Did you find it?
What's it called?
Contextual taskbar. It's way down here. In Photoshop, it's down
Yeah,
there too. In
got
Illustrator,
it.
it's up at the top. So depending on which program, at the Illustrator, it's way up here. In Photoshop, it's down there.
I got it.
You found it? Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So over here, I could have gone here for that same reason that I took you down there. I could have gone right here. And again, the frame is none, and that's correct. But change the text color. Now I can make the text color red or blue or orange or, well, how about burgundy? Well, maybe burgundy will work. I don't know. Actually, in fact, let's go with, sure, I don't know, I'll go with burgundy. Why not? Or whatever that color is. I'm going to go with that for a minute. I wasn't choosing that, but since it popped in there, let's do that. But now how do I choose a new font? First of all, I'm going to hit the W because I want to be able to choose a font without having all of the other junk in the way. And I don't even know if it's the size I want. I don't know, it's a lot of writing, right? It's different if you have a couple words from it, but this one I'm kind of imitating the other one in that it was a lot of words. So when I click on this, I have everything from A to who knows how many. There's hundreds of fonts in here. And there's actually thousands of fonts online that I can still use in the Adobe font library. So these are just the ones that came with my computer. If you've used this computer before, you might have already downloaded some, but let's assume that all you have is whatever came with InDesign. And as I hover over each one, my font keeps changing, right? And let's assume that for some reason I don't like any of these. I know there's tons of them, but I say I don't like a single one of them. Where else would I find more fonts? And yes, it takes a while to get accustomed to all the fonts that you have and whatever. Now here, there's a couple of samples that, as you can see, it's giving me numbers. And since I'm not looking for numbers, I might want to say, well, give me a sample in typography. And it gives me the word typography, or give me a sample in the selected text. So see how it's writing Golden Wine Country. Or I could tell it, give me the typical, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, which is like all the letters of the alphabet, stuff like that. I like the selected text. This is relatively newish. You couldn't do that before. Because then I can go quickly down here and see it. Now it's kind of small, so it's not going to be perfect, but it gives me a better idea. Sometimes you want to see it. Now sometimes that is turning into like junky stuff because it's different languages and stuff. But anyway, let's say that none of these are good. So I'm going to just assume that I hate all of these. So where else can I get fonts from? Well, before I go to find more, how about I say, oh, there's just too much to choose from. I want to choose something that I have. Right now I'm going within the photos that I have, but I want to filter these down by certain features that make more sense to me. For example, I know that I want a font that is sans serif. Sans serif would be a font that doesn't have, there's some fonts that are straight like this one that has no little edges, and other fonts that, let me make this font much bigger. Let me go with Let me go with 48 points or something so you can see it better. This is a serif font. See these little like winglets thingies, like little that it has on the edges? Those are called serifs. So that is a serif font versus if I go over here and choose this one, this is a sans serif. It means sans means no in French. It's no serif. So it's a cleaner look. So what if I want to look at these? Let's go to the filters, right here. Let's go like, how do you call that shape? Oh my God, it's that little icon. It's a funnel. Thank you. No one helped me, but it's a funnel. Thank you, brain, for coming up with it. I go to the funnel shape here, and I'm going to say that what I want is a sans serif. So I'm going to click on sans serif, and immediately I get many less choices. That's it. This is all that I have that's sans serif. Before I had a bazillion. So that helps. Or it's the other way around. I do want a serif font. So then I get only choices that are serif. Or maybe I want a serif that's thick. So look at, I only have, what, 15 or less, 8 choices. Got it? Maybe I want a script. So then I get the choices of any script. So see how this helps us? This is fonts that exist in my computer, but it helps me not have to look through bazillions of things if I have a bit of an idea of what it is that I'm looking for. Now, what if I want a black leather Gothic script? Well, looks like I have none of those in here. How about extended, these are called monospace fonts. Monospace fonts are similar to, you know, when you used to write on a typewriter, I don't know if you all remember writing on a typewriter, where fonts didn't adjust to each other. They each had their own little space. So it's typical for either people who want an effect of old stuff or for people who want to write, it's very typical to use monospace fonts for like math, technical stuff like that, because it's better to have each thing have its own space. Okay, so that's that. Handwritten fonts. So maybe I wanted that to be a handwritten font. There you go. So there's the one for hand. Or these are the decorative ones. And so you start having some weird stuff that doesn't even look like fonts like that. So we have symbols, web dings. Look at that. All our letters are some kind of a little art bit or piece. Okay. All right. So if you like one of these, choose one of these. That's good. What if you want, say, sans serif? There's so many sans serif, but you want to make sure that they are bold, that they have a heavyweight one. So then you have a sans serif, but you want it to be bold. So then you hover over here, and most of these examples have versions of fatter font, right? Say that you choose one that's condensed, one that has round O's, one that has, so it's got to be bold and it has to have round O's. Okay, so now we've got like gold. Okay, so anyway, you play around with this to give you an idea of the kind of things that might work for you. All right, so say that I choose one, I don't care which. Now choose something. I don't know which filters I have. I have a filter going on here. Now, what else do I have here? Well, and just for this purpose, if you were in one of these that have very few choices, go back to sans serif so that I can show you a couple of different more things before we move off of this tool. So here I have something called Alfarn, and that's all I have. It's Alfarn, and Alfarn is the font it is. And boom, that's what I have. It's Alfarn regular. If I click on regular, all it says is regular, and that's it. That's what Alfarn happens to be. But if I go right underneath that to Arial, turns out I have Arial, and there's a number 2 under that. And when I click on that number 2, it turns out that there was Arial bold or Arial bold italic. There's 2 versions of Arial. Now, there's also Arial black, Arial narrow. There's a couple different, but there's more kinds of Arial, but never mind. It's all usually in there. So same with Avenir. Now look at that. Avenir Next has 10 versions of itself. I open Avenir Next, ultralight, ultralight italic, medium, medium bold, demi bold, da, 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 da. Well, what if I don't go down this list and I just choose Avenir Next? Then over here is where I'm going to find all those options, all those 10 options of italic. But here I have to choose them. I can't like hover over them. They've been chosen. I have to go to each one. Does that make sense? To see my 10 versions of it. Versus over here, had I gone to Avenir Next and opened it, then I could have just hovered over them to decide if I like them. Okay, we're all good with that? Give me a yes if it's all working, if you can see how to make your choices based on what we have. This is still based on what's on the computer. All good? Now, if I click on American Typewriter, it's like, I like it, but I need it to be fatter. So then I try this one. I go, oh, now I hate it. It was okay first, but now it's horrible. You know, you just change different things. Okay. The font can change a lot depending on the versions. All right. So say that none of these I like. Now, notice that I've chosen one or two at this point here, and then I've clicked on one. That's a date without sun. And when I go back, I have some choices here, and one of them is show favorite fonts. Now, it could be that over time, you've decided that there's 5 of these that you like a lot, and you've decided that they're a favorite. So let me click on one of these. I don't know. Say that I like Grad, whatever. I'm going to check Grad, and I say if I really like it, then I can go over here and I can give it a little star. Ding. Oh, no, that's not where I give it a star. Sorry, that's where I would have chosen it. Let me go back to Grad. Over here, I click on the little star right there, which makes Grad become a favorite. Say that Gabriella is a favorite, and I click on that little star. And let's say that, I don't know, Victoria is a favorite, and I click on that. So later, when I'm trying to, maybe I'm not filtered anymore, clear all my filters, and I'm trying to decide and go, which are the 5 that I always like? I click here on stars, and these are the 3 or 5 that I have decided that I like. Does that make sense? How to use this one? Now, the reason I'm pointing out is sometimes you don't know about this and you didn't notice that you clicked on one of these and you go, where'd all my fonts go? Well, it's just that you're using a filter and that's why you're not seeing all your fonts. Does that make sense? I'm going to clear your answers and let me know if this is all working. So now I don't want to see the fonts, so I click on the star again and I see all my fonts again. Okay. Now, I haven't added any, so if I click on recently added, all of this doesn't mean much to me because these are added by the computer, so it's not the ones I've recently added. Once I start adding fonts, then this one might make more sense to me. And then this one is show added fonts. And again, right now, these are all, you might have the same as me, you might not. I don't know what fonts you have that are added. So I'm going to, for now, we don't even know how to add fonts. So I'm going to show you how to add more fonts. Okay. Say that none of this works. None of the stuff that we've been working works. I don't care. I don't like any of them. Okay. So let's find some more. So I'm going to click on find more. And all of these fonts, if you look over here to the right, have a little cloud on them. See that? None of these are in my computer. These are available fonts, which is going to take me eons to go up and down this whole list. There's bazillions of fonts. Okay. If I try to go through all of them, who knows when I'm going to get over them. But say I like, I don't know, bucket list. Bucket list 3. Let me open bucket list. Light, red, and bold. Look at how different the light looks from the regular, from the bold. Say that I like one of these. I don't in particular, but say I do. Do I like this better? Say I like one of these. Say that I like regular, bucket list 2 regular. You guys choose any of them. I don't care what you're choosing right now. So if I want to use it, over here I have 2 little icons. One, I can say show similar fonts, so it shows me more of this kind of font. See how the little like a little river? I can click on that. But I guess it didn't have anything similar to bucket list. Okay, so that didn't help. I'm gonna go back to find more, back. I'm gonna go back to bucket list. Say that I like the regular version. I'm gonna have to bring it down. So I'm gonna click on this, add this font. Yep, okay. So now it's bringing it down. It says adding, it's bringing it. I have my cursor really big for teaching, but it also hides some. So it's being added. Okay, see this check mark? And I guess that before I had clicked on this and I've added that one too. So it looks like I've added light and I've added regular. Just for the fun of it, let's add the whole thing. Had I known that it was an add all three, I could have just clicked directly on the family and the whole family would have come down and like there instead of one by one. But anyway, now I'm clicking on the family, so they're all coming down. So this is an example of added. Now be careful how many fonts you add. Fonts in your computer take up a lot of space and a lot of processing power. You don't want to willy-nilly download a whole bunch of fonts if you don't need to. But now when you go to recently added, then you should see, I'm not seeing the ones I just added. I'm just seeing Futura, which I don't know why I'm seeing Futura since I didn't add it. But anyway, I'm going to clear that. And then if I go over here to downloaded, then the top one is the bucket list that I just downloaded. Okay. So these are others that have been downloaded in the past or not. Now, what if there's a font that you downloaded in the past and you don't want anymore? I go over here to go All Foreign Golden Country. I can click on one that has a check mark and I don't want it anymore. I can just click on that and that undoes it. Okay, I can remove that font. And that's gonna get removed from the downloads. All right, so now I've got my bucket list. Wow, I really don't like it on the edges, but never mind. So I can find more. There's a whole bunch of other way of looking. I can go into the I can go into my fonts and I'm looking at the time. I'm going to show you this so that I'm done with the font conversation. So I'm going to share my entire screen with you guys. Let me go to my entire screen. Well, actually, I have to go to the entire screen. I can go, am I sharing? Here, let me go online. So let's go to open a new tab or something. And those of you who are on VDI, you have to open a new tab inside of VDI because you're going to download this not to your computer, but into the VDI computer. Okay. So make sure to open your Google Chrome or something inside of VDI for this one, because we're going to go to Adobe Fonts. And there's a way from inside of there to have gone to Adobe Fonts, but I didn't go. I'm just going to Adobe Fonts this way. That's one way to go to Adobe Fonts. Another way to go to Adobe Fonts, but see, this one doesn't know me yet. It asks me to sign in, which is important. So another way to go to Adobe Fonts, and this is where I needed to show, and I can sign in, that's fine. You have to use your Pipeline account if you bought this thing from Pipeline or stuff like that. Let me show you another way to go to Adobe Fonts. You could also go to your iCloud, to your Adobe Cloud icon. And for Mac people, it's up there. There's my Adobe, my Creative Cloud application. For PCers, you have to go down and find your Creative Cloud application. Go and do a search in the search field, or for VDI people, go for your Creative Cloud application. And this is an application that if you downloaded and installed all the Adobe stuff, you have also installed the Creative Cloud. And in the Creative Cloud application, you are already inside of your account because you're using your Photoshop, your Illustrator, whatever. So you're signed in already. And notice that here on the left side, it has different things you can see, including apps and stuff like that. And then over here on the right side, you have Adobe Fonts. And it's already showing me which are your active fonts. I'm going to click on that. And it's trying to show me all the fonts that I've already added to your Adobe app, or that you've already installed. I'm going to skip this little ad. So these are fonts that I've added. Okay, so there's a lot of fonts that I've added. You might have none, you might have a few. Recently added, just the two that I just added, the bucket list. Okay. But I've added 183 fonts. How many have I installed? Right, I have 51 that are installed. Now, just so you know, these are fonts that Adobe just becoming paying for the Creative Cloud. You're using their Adobe fonts, but they're licensing them from people. And it's possible that some of the fonts that you've used before that you've licensed you don't have the rights to them anymore. Nothing has recently expired. Anything is recently expiring soon. I guess that all the fonts I have, nothing is expired, so that's good to know. Fonts that I might have uploaded, I haven't uploaded any, so I don't have any. So I'm gonna go over here to done. So anyway, this is another way to see that what I already have. Now, what if I want more? I don't want any of these. I've already looked at these. I don't want them. So I can go over here to browse more fonts. Now, are you following? Is everyone with me? Yeah, I'm gonna click on browse more fonts. Did everyone find the Creative Cloud? And are you in the Creative Cloud with me? Creative Cloud app.
Yes.
So when I said browse more fonts, it's taken me to the internet. It's opening the same place and it's having me sign in, which I had kind of gone there already, Adobe Fonts, but from my Creative Cloud, by taking me over here, then it's bringing me here. But in this case, it had me sign in, but I was already signed in, so I'm ready to go. I'm in my account, okay? So it's kind of the same, only I'm already me in here. It knows me, right? So when I came to Adobe Fonts, I could have then signed in, or I click in on Adobe Fonts, browse fonts from inside of Creative Cloud. I'm in here, I'm on the internet, but I'm already signed in. This is me. If I click on that, there's my account. See that? So give me a yes.
We lost you.
Yeah, I think you cut out.
Give me a yes when you are in your Adobe Fonts on the internet from your Creative Cloud and you can see that it's you, it's your account, and all is good. Give me a yes. All right. And here we are in the good old Adobe Fonts where we have, God, bazillions of fonts. First of all, I could choose a sample text, or I can bring the good old golden, like I could go back to InDesign and I can select that text, go to my text tool, click and say 1, 2, 3, so it selects everything, and copy that. And then I go back to the internet and I can put my own font in there, right? Golden Country Wine Valley, or I can write it, or whatever name you're going to give it. So that's not so fun as before when it was just giving you funky fonts, but there you go. Now that's the text that you want. And it's giving you an idea. You want to make it bigger, smaller to match a bit more what you need. Because it's one thing to see it really tiny and it's impossible to read. And it's another thing to see it big and decide that's the right one. Anyway, and here you will see on the left side something similar to what we saw in the computer. You can go back to sans serifs or slabs or script, fonts, just a bit more detail. Or you can also just have some fun stuff like funky. I'll only show you some funky ones. Now you don't have the advantage of seeing it in your design when you're here, but for better, for worse. Maybe you don't want funky, you want luxury, and you have things that convey luxury. And this is the Wine Valley. Maybe that one is good. Now, maybe that one is good. Maybe that one is good. Let's choose one. Say that this one is good. It's the TT Ricordi Allegria. It has 2 fonts. Let me go to one that has more. Here's one that has 18. I don't like it at all, but it has 18. Let me just show you what I mean by that. I'm going to click on, we're not going to say add family or anything. We're going to click on the name of it. And it's going to take me to a page. Is that the name of the one? Aabak? I thought it was a different name. Oh yeah, it is Aabak. Okay. Click on that. And here it's showing me samples of using it. And so I click on the right, on the left, just, this is the font. that I'm choosing, and it has many versions of it. And here are all those versions of it, little examples. Again, I can choose to put my own text in here, paste, and now I start seeing what my font looks like in all of these versions of it. I don't like a single one of them, but say that I liked one. I don't usually like this type of font, but say that I liked one. They look so cool in here, right? They don't look so good in here. Maybe because I'm making it all uppercase. Maybe if I made it Golden Valley Wine Country, is that what I had called it? I don't remember. So now for this font, uppercase, lowercase looks a little bit better. And this font, I still don't like it, but it looks a bit better. Say that I choose this one, the first one. Okay, so now I'm gonna add font. I could just save it to favorite so that later I can work on it. I can work on my library, that library that we saw before, that was mine. But no, I just want to go ahead and say I like it. I'm going to add one. Again, I don't care what you choose. Let's just add a font. I'm going to show you what that means. Okay, that's my alarm that we have 15 more minutes. So now I clicked on add fonts and it says manage fonts in your Creative Cloud app. That's where we came from, remember? Install fonts for use in other apps, use what you've added, and you're good. So we'll say, okay, it wants us to open that, but we already have it open, so we don't need to just say okay to that. And we keep reading and finding another font. If instead we are done and we want to go, then we can leave. But I want to back out and choose one more font. So I'm going to go back to where we came from, and I'm going to choose the font that I might like this time. I don't know, friendly, cursive. Ugh. Let me see, view 13 more choices for futuristic, wedding, school, college, shaded typewriter, stencil. Let's see with geometric. Let's see. It's way too many words. Shouldn't call it Golden Country. So let's say that I want trebuchet MS, or God, this is boring. Tunga. That's hard to read. That could be fun to test and see how it works. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to bring this one down. Golden Country Wine Valley. Now, it's only got one font, one choice. So I can just say add family because it's one. But if I had said add family before, I would have downloaded 18 fonts. Okay. So I can say add family. It's the same as saying add font. But if I wanted to see it applied to things, I click on it again. It goes in here. It shows me how it's working. And I go, yeah, I like it. Okay. So I'm going to just say add font. Since it's only one, it's add font. So the family would have worked just as fine. Okay. So now I'll say, okay, I'm going to open it in the app this time just to open the app. But here we are. These are the bucket lists that I downloaded from inside of InDesign. And now I have these two that I downloaded by coming and checking for more on the internet. Okay. Now, if I want to install the whole family or stuff like that, that's fine. But careful, if I do that, look at the message. Click here to install for non-Adobe apps. So I'm not going to do that. That's going to install into the bowels of my computer. And I'll be able to use it for like Word or Excel, non-Adobe fonts. I'm truly downloading that font into my computer. I don't really want to do that. I'm going to leave this to just be in my Adobe apps, and that's fine. Okay. I don't want these fonts in Word or in Excel or in Quicken or whatever. But if I do install them from there, it'll go and install. And really, these take up a lot of space. I'm fine with them just being in my Adobe apps. Okay. If I click over here, install the family or individual ones, it goes into my entire computer. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go back to InDesign. Let me see, what do I call these? Grante and Abac. Back to InDesign. And now let's try. If I go to recently added, then I have my Grante, my Abac, and my 3 bucket lists. Okay. So now I'm gonna click on this Grante, which for some reason, I don't think it matches this brochure at all, but I think it's very fun. So I'm gonna use that one. And for that one, looks like I'm gonna have to go even bigger. It's too big. We're gonna talk next time we meet, what happens, what these boxes are, what this means when I got too big and it disappeared. I'm just gonna back out to 48 points. And for the sake of how much time do I have left? We're fine, we have a little bit more time. Any questions before I go a little bit further? Nope, it's late. I'm losing people. People are still on yesterday's time. So I don't want to spend too much more time, but we've just brought fonts in. We've made them a different size. If I want something that's not there, but I want to go from 48 to 60, I have to type it in. So I'm going to go ahead and say 55 and hit return. And that seems to work a bit better. Call it in. I can click on this, which helps me align it. So this over here when I say on this. Move this over a little bit. There we go. So I can click on alignment choices and I might want to center it, or I might want to justify it or something like that. Right now I'm going to center it. What I want to see is my lines of where this font needs to be. So when I hit my W, right, I can see my entire box. But if I try to center it visually, it's going to be very hard because I don't see where the ending of this is going to be. So if I want to center it visually, I need to hit the W and move this around so until I am centered in that space that I made. But I need to have the W turned on to make sure that I don't go beyond my boundaries of my margins, right? So it's a combination of going and coming. And it turns out that it looks like I made a box that's pretty correct for the fact that that is the top edge of my margin, right? And thus I'm not going outside of the boundaries, but it's also got about the same amount here and there. And if it didn't, I would have to manipulate the box behind it to make a change. Now this is horrible in that this font is absolutely unreadable, but right now we're not going to really care about that. Just wanted to teach you about bringing in other fonts. This is
Diana, I got disconnected for a second. Where can I find the font I added from Adobe Fonts?
okay. So I'm going to select it. I go to your fonts, and then I went over here to this little clock, which is the recently added. And at the very top, I have my Grante, my Abac.
Okay.
Okay. Grante, Abac, and the Bucket Light, which I downloaded these without really liking them, but I thought this one was funky. This is definitely not right for this brochure, but it is fun, so I'm gonna leave it on that one right now, just to have some fun. Now, we're gonna talk a little bit more about how this works later. I'm gonna put a more regular font on this later. But for now, let's save it and I'm going to select the font again. I'm going to click on this choice. Here we go. And I'm going to do a screenshot of this, my font. And I'm also going to do a screenshot of this, but first let me go over here. Using a font added from Adobe Fonts. Right. So There we go. Some more fonts, more people adding stuff. Okay, good. All right, so now, for the time being, we don't have any errors. Our text is in the right place. We're gonna make this be a pretty big disaster when we keep working on this next. But for now, we have all of our, I know. We have, we're beginning to have page one. We fit the photo pretty well. We're adding some text. I'm going to, I believe I was given the school, the extended learning logo, which now this doesn't belong anymore. We're going to make ourselves a little logo next week. But I am going to upload this document, and I'm going to take the silly kitty out because we don't need to upload the silly kitty. So just for the sake of uploading this document as is to the catch-up folder, so that if anyone joins us next week and didn't do today's class, then I'm going to get rid of these three things. And I'm gonna bring in there the files that we just were working on. Okay, so I wanted to show you something interesting. Am I sharing my screen still? Is this my entire screen? Are you seeing like a window, a Finder window right now? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so just so you know, at least on the Mac, I'm not 100% sure what the PC does, but this is my folder, right? These are my files. And this is just the Finder window. This isn't in Bridge or in anything else. At the very top, see how it has, remember that this was the Recreate CSI brochure was the name of this file? At the very top, it's showing me a little squiggle and it says Recreate CSI's brochure. Da, da, da. This is because my file is still open. Okay. Even though if I go to the R for Recreate, there it is, Recreate CSI brochure. That's the one I'm working on right now. Okay. I just saved it. It's 8:39 p.m. That's the file. Because it's still open, I've got this little guy. Some people wonder what those things are. That's just because it's open. The moment I close it, that will disappear. I don't know what that is, but it's some kind of a ghost image or whatever of it being open. If I go to Bridge to my files, then here I have my Recreate CSI brochure. And see how it has a link there? It's showing me that I have some files linked to it. So if I want right now, I haven't like attached it to anything. I haven't sent it to anyone. It's all me, so I don't need to worry about it. But if I were to want to know what's linked to it, then by selecting it, if I come over here, it shows me my linked files are, and then it goes for, these are my linked files, okay? That screenshot and that screenshot, which are the two fonts that I that the two links, but it's not showing me, interestingly enough, the autumn. Why is it not showing me the autumn? Oh, because it's, anyway, and then over here, I can see that it's got 2 pages, right? Because I had something in there before. There's nothing else on the other pages, so it doesn't show them to me. Why is it not showing me? I'm curious. It's not showing me the other linked file, the autumn fields. Maybe because the other files that I have are not in this folder. This one is in this folder, but these are somewhere else. They're in the don't remove screenshots thing. It's because I brought them from my screenshot place. That's curious. And then down here, I have document swatches, and it's showing me what swatches I have used. I had black, remember? I had made it blue, even though I deleted it. I have paper, and I have my gold and my burgundy. It doesn't show me all the other colors, but it's just the ones that this document has used. Anyway, so there's just a lot of information here of this document right now. Okay. Now I have to go back to InDesign and save. For those of you who are in VDI, one of you guys who wants to see how to back out correctly, go ahead and, oh, but I'm sorry, I was doing this because I wanted to put this in, I forgot that the reason I was doing this is because I wanted to put it in the in the class files, okay? So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna drag this guy. I can do it from the Finder window, I can do it from Bridge, okay? I can upload it over here into the catch-up. But that's not enough. I need to also upload the files that go into it in case someone does need to use this to catch up. So I'm uploading the car, and then I have to go into the here into the document where it told me that I have these other two, and it's in download. Don't remove. So I'm going to go over to the downloads. Don't remove screenshots, and it's these two little screenshots. And upload those two. Okay, now the one problem is that I still don't have my fonts. Since I used that font, that's kind of weird, Dante, whatever. When someone opens this next week and they tried to open it, they won't be, it'll say that you don't have that font. So if anyone does do that, I'll show you next week how to handle that and how you'd have to download the font. But if no one does, then we'll work on it with another example. Okay, so what happens when you don't have the font? When we're done with this document, we will download the font and we will provide the font to people who need to use it. But right now, we don't have that one. It's not finished, so we're not doing that yet. Okay, so now we're going to save and close this. And someone who is, so now you can close out of all of these. Someone who is on VDI, maybe Odessa, you still here? No, because she was having issues with the, oh, I guess no one who's on VDI is here anymore. Okay, then I won't show anyone who's on VDI. Oh, well, Eric is on
Oh,
VDI,
I'm
but
on
you already
VDI.
know. You know how to do it, yeah? How
Yeah.
to sign out of, okay.
Mhm.
So we're going to sign out of everything, and we're going to be ready next time, signed in. I just wanted to show Odessa that she's gone. All right. If everything is good and there's no questions, then let's close up, and I will see you next Monday in my my home to continue with this class instead of at school. Okay. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye. Thank you.